Hey everyone, and welcome back. I am live here with my dearest buddy on the internet, Magog of Morskar. How you doing?
Right on.
Right on. Right on. And Scribe Light. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me on.
No problem. No problem. So, what shall we talk about this time? What is your favorite topic of this past week?
Oh, this past week.
Can we start off with something like lighthearted?
Lighthearted? What do you think this is? What do you think this is? Some sort of professional thing?
Let's talk about the potential of President Yeezy.
Yeezy, all right.
Yeah, President Yeezy, because I mean, when I heard that Kanye West was literally, seriously, apparently going to run for president, I don't know if he's filed anywhere yet. According to CNN, he says he's running for president, but hasn't taken any steps yet. He's too late to get anywhere near the major political parties. So, and I don't know what the rules are state to state on getting on the
Well,
ballot.
I know there's a lot of states where it's too late. So, I mean,
Yes.
does he even have a chance?
No, he doesn't have a chance. But my only thought was when
No, but I mean, even if like if everything went as good as it could be, could he even get enough electoral votes? I'm just mathematically, I'm wondering.
No, I don't think so.
He can't. Okay.
But here's the thought I had. I was like, supposedly he was such good friends with Donald Trump. The only votes he would be taking away would be from Donald Trump. So why, even mildly strategically, would he want to run and endanger the prospects of his friend? Was my first thought.
I don't think so. I disagree.
Well,
I think there's a large portion of the black community that would vote for him just out of spite because everybody's kind of tired of things.
Mm-hmm.
So he might actually steal some of the black vote from the Democrat.
Well, there is that. But before we get into that, there's also the theory that this is just some promotion for an album.
Sure.
Probably. Yeah.
So
it's probably a stunt. He can run as an independent. He'll be on the ticket, but he probably won't get anywhere near the numbers.
Yeah, I'm sort of thinking maybe he has a new album coming out called Campaign or President or, that would be something. But who knows?
People are saying everybody except Undoomed turn up your volume. I'm maxed out on my end, so I don't know if there's something you can do, Undoomed.
Yeah, okay, cool. Let's see here. I can raise your volume.
I have my input volume at the top on Discord, so I can't do much else.
All right, now you're maxed out, so let's see if that helps. What do you think, chat? I guess we probably have a 20-second delay or something. But I could probably raise you in Discord as well if this is not enough. But
here's my volume, chat. How do I sound?
There you go. It wouldn't be the Unprofessionals if there wasn't some audio issue.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody listening knows anything about computers or if any of you guys can help me out with this, but for the past 2 weeks, I have been having some serious fucking audio problems with my computer. Ever since the last Windows update, my audio will crackle and pop, and then the audio will fall out of sync with the video that I'm watching. And it doesn't matter what platform. It could be Amazon, Netflix, YouTube. Eventually, while I'm watching something, I'll hear a pop. And then the people talking on the screen, their lips will not line up anymore. And I have to close the browser completely, open it back up, and restart what I'm watching.
Right. Okay, so people say it's good now, so that's good. Also,
and I'll lean in closer to my mic too, just in case.
No, but if it needs to be, I can raise you up in Discord as well. I just raised you up in OBS now, but it seems to be fine. Anyway, Karina Messina is here. Thanks for tuning in. So how you doing? But yeah, that sounds kind of like you have a problem with your sampling rate. To me, like if it's supposed to be 48 and you have 41 or something like that.
Yeah, I've tried switching those things. I've tried updating the Realtek drivers. I've tried everything. I don't know what's wrong with my computer, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you see anything in the chat?
No, everybody just telling me to turn it off and turn it back on again. So
okay. I think he's tried that, probably, chat.
I don't know what it is. I thought about maybe I should roll back to another install of Windows or check my video card or what. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, is that possible? Do you have a backup you could roll back to, or?
Yeah, I should be able to roll back to before the update. And that's the only thing I haven't done.
Why not?
I'm afraid to.
Why not?
Because I don't like doing that. It breaks it. You know. But anyway, I don't know. I'll figure it out. I just hope my video card isn't dying. That's my biggest fear is that my video card's starting to go. So. But
No,
anyway,
this sounds like an audio issue.
it sounds like it, but it could be a video issue because the audio is also coming from the video card because I have everything plugged into HDMI.
Sure, but yeah,
So-
it sounds more like a driver thing to me. Like this is the kind of stuff that happens to me when I fuck up with my synthesizers and I do that thing with a 48 or 41 or 44.1. You know what I mean? It's very close. So it if you play something back at the wrong speed from 48 to 44, you won't notice it with your ears. But it is obviously a difference. Anyway, we got a super chat from Pincalo, the driving ape man. Says levels Magog 6 of 10, Undoom 7 of 10, Scribbles 5 of 10. Not sure what that's referring to.
Volume levels.
Oh, right. Okay, well, it's weird that none of us have 10. I mean, maybe you should turn up your level. Anyway, we got another one from, anyway, thanks for your donation there, Pincalo. We got another one from Supa Bam Bam at Magog. So this one's for you. Do a fresh install of Windows. It did the same thing to me. Audio issue were fixed for me by doing so. Just back up your files to another drive.
Sounds like such a pain in the ass, but I guess I have no choice because it's getting annoying.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to Geek Squad Radio.
Yes.
Well-
I would also like to point out that Waji Deus says to delete System 32.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
that is always a good thing to do.
That's always a good thanks, Waji.
That's the first thing you should try, probably. Like
Yeah.
even before you try turning it off and on again, you should probably delete System 32. Everyone knows it's a vicious virus file.
Did you ever see that video of, I think it was PewDiePie convinced somebody to do that to themselves?
Oh,
Like live on stream?
Yeah, I think I've seen a bunch of them. I've seen people
pretty bad.
being tricked into putting their computer in a microwave and in the sink and all sorts of shit.
Yeah, Twitch tech support. It's like, well, now what I need you to do is spread some butter there on the hard drive. I'm like, okay. That's good. That's going to lube up the disk a bit and make your computer run smoother. Oh, okay.
what you should do, what fixes my computer all the time is when you watch too much porn and eventually your computer starts fucking up, just pull your hard drive out, wrap it in tinfoil, and put it in the microwave.
Mhm.
And that will like clear all the viruses off of the
Oh
drive.
yeah. It'll clean your drive real quick.
Real
Super-
quick.
Yeah, it's called the baked potato method.
Well, it certainly will clean shit up. That's for sure. Maybe a little bit too much, but yeah. You remember that? Did you ever watch Mr. Robot?
Yes, I've
Yes.
seen the whole series. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like he's got like magnetic strips in his doorways. So if anyone just picks up his computer and walks out, it'll just get magnetized.
Yeah, and he's got a spare microwave just on the other side of the room to throw all of his discs into in case he gets caught or rushed or something.
Right.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's some cool shit. I think there was an episode of Burn Notice where he was like fucking with the FBI guy that wouldn't leave him alone, and he broke into the guy's like hotel room and put like a super magnet in the lamp where the guy sits his laptop. So when he sat his laptop down and turned on the lamp, it like fucking fried his computer. And I'm like, that's really clever. Like I think like that's really clever.
Were they just cribbing from Breaking Bad with that episode where they put the super magnet next to the police evidence room?
Oh right, yeah.
I don't remember that.
Oh, you don't remember that one? Oh,
No.
yeah. There's some laptop with information that was damning or something ended up in police custody. And so Mike and Walter and Jesse were trying to figure out how to break into the evidence room. And Jesse's just like, how about a magnet? And so they park a truck with a gigantic super magnet on the side of it next to the wall of the evidence locker room or whatever,
Mhm.
and everything flies over and sticks to the wall. And as the police were there, like, what the hell? And the truck tips over because the force is so much, and it sticks itself to the wall. It's hilarious.
All right.
That was a great show, and then it went to shit.
Well, I mean, it happens. It happens to
Like
most shows.
Like
Yeah.
I really loved Breaking Bad, but the El Camino movie.
It was unnecessary. I think.
Yeah.
I think it was better just to leave it open ended as to what happened to Jesse after that. It wasn't offensive to me. It was just sort of superfluous.
Yeah,
it was just irritating and
right.
non-essential.
I never actually watched it. I wasn't that interested. I was
It's okay. It's okay. I mean, if you're a super fan, there's a lot of stuff there that like Easter eggs and things, and some loose ends are filled up. The one big problem with it though is it was filmed with people who had noticeably aged at that point. And while I've been able to suspend my disbelief for Better Call Saul, for the sake of some things, in that instance, it just didn't work so well.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, no. Like I say, if you're a fan of the show, you're going to love it because it has a lot of. It's a love letter to the fans of the show more than anything else. And but like I said, it's you don't if you like Breaking Bad, you don't need to see it. The only TV show that's never had an unnecessary episode and everything was perfect was The Shield. And I will fight anybody who says otherwise.
Actually, never watched.
Yeah, never watched it.
So good. Oh my god, you guys. Oh, it's so good.
Who's that with?
That's Michael Chiklis in the lead role.
I don't even know who that is.
Oh, do you remember The Commish? Do you remember the Fantastic Four movie and Ben Grimm, who played Ben Grimm in that movie?
Yeah, he played the Thing in the
the original of Fantastic Four from Fox, not the abomination that came out of
the Jessica Alba ones. The
Jessica Alba, yeah, not the.
He was he's a good actor, and I know that he was in the show with what is his name? Walter Goggins, I think.
Walton Goggins. Yeah, he was
Walton.
Yeah, Walton's been in a whole bunch of stuff since, in like Justified, and he was in the.
I loved him in Justified. He was such a good.
He's a great actor. He really is. And there's a whole bunch of people in that show that have gone on to other things. You've seen them. They've made cameos as other characters in like Sons of Anarchy and a bunch of other stuff, projects with the guys involved with the Shield.
Yeah. But anyway, we were being unprofessional. We lost track.
We lost track.
Well, you mean we're outside of format? I don't know what that's like. So what is the most exciting thing of the year so far? I don't know if it's the most exciting. The most recent thing was President Easy. What do you guys think?
I want to point out something. Just this one thing. This one thing, just so we can, recognize that. I don't think all of California has lost their fucking minds. Like, did you guys see the helicopter footage of LA?
Right, yeah.
All the fireworks going off, and it was just like, fuck your laws, fuck your fireworks laws. We're gonna fucking blow shit up.
This is not supposed to be happening. Like the reporter, this is not supposed to be happening. What the hell?
This is illegal.
Yeah, well, if they can burn down cities, we can have fireworks.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I don't know anybody who lives in LA, but I kind of want to know what it was like, because I live in the country. There's explosions going off all week. Like, country folk, when the tents go up that sell the fireworks, that's when it starts. Like, it's not just one night. It's like 2 weeks straight of just boom booms every night. So I'm used to it, but I wonder what it would be like to live in such a big metropolitan area and hear just explosions going off constantly.
Yeah, that you should be able to tell, because you have all those explosions.
Yeah, but it's not supposed to be in the city, right? Like, even here where I live, in city limits, fireworks are outlawed. Now, whether the cops enforce it or not, it depends on if people call and tell on you, right? But if you're out in the middle of the street in a suburb shooting off mortar rounds, you could potentially cause a fucking fire, right? Because like, what if the tube tips over and you shoot one into the window of your neighbor? You know, you, you know. But at the same time, it's like let people have their fucking fun. You know.
Right. I mean, I don't know. I've never really experienced people taking that law that seriously.
Well, I mean, there is the danger depending on where you live, and especially in California with as dry as it is, there is a not 0% chance of starting an accidental wildfire somewhere. So in that sense, I can kind of understand. At the same time,
Sure, but not in the middle, not in the middle of Los Angeles.
No, not in the middle of Los Angeles necessarily, but yeah, that helicopter.
Yeah, sure.
Guy
if you're out towards, you know, some sort of redwood forest or anything, yeah, fuck, that's irresponsible as fuck.
Can we go back to the days when Los Angeles was just the setting for every like disaster movie?
Oh, it still is. Have you seen the Rockets line up lately? I mean, San Andreas. You know,
it's either there or New York.
Yeah, we really need to get like, we really need to just like go back and watch Volcano. We really need to get
no Dante's Peak. Dante's Peak was better than Volcano.
Yeah, but Volcano happened in L.A. and that's
I know.
But we need Tommy Lee Jones to go to L.A. and save everybody. That's what we need.
Well, it was such a shame that Independence Day 2 wasn't better.
You got a super chat.
Yeah, Snowdub Music and Entertainment says beer money for Undoomed. Thank you very much, sir. I'm close to 900. I assume that's subscribers. Can I still get you as a guest on my 1K celebration? Thanks again and great content, Undoomed. Thank you very much, sir, for your donation. Yes, of course. I'll be happy to come on your stream.
You know, my biggest disappointment was about the first Independence Day is when the trailer came out. I remember this very distinctly. The trailer was coming out, and I saw the trailer for the first time. And this was before the internet, so I didn't have any kind of heads up as to what it was. So I saw that opening shot of like, you see the edge of the saucer coming in through the clouds over New York City and the shadow casting over it. And at that time, oddly enough, I had just come across the Mars Attacks card series from the 60s or whatever. And I had heard something about they're going to make a Mars Attacks movie someday. And I saw that. I was like, oh, it's going to be Mars Attacks. And then it said ID4. And I'm like, what's an ID4?
That was that was kind of confusing.
Yeah, I know it was ID4, and then it was like Independence Day, and I was like, wait, there was 3 of these before this? What?
Yeah, that was kind of Star Wars? Kind of a weird thing.
Yeah. That was an interesting marketing choice because the 4th of July is Independence Day. I've never in my life heard Independence Day called ID4.
Yeah,
that movie came out.
No, exactly. It was a little bit weird.
Yeah,
I mean, the posters just had ID4, and you're like,
yeah.
What? Wait, what? Where's the other 3?
At first I thought it was like Star Wars: A New Hope, like, oh, this is the 4th movie in the series, and there's like prequels we'll never see, kind of. No,
yeah.
Who the hell made this thing? Oh, okay, those guys. What? Anyway.
Yeah.
People are saying in the chat, Spider in the chat says "Escape from Chaz." I want to point out that.
God.
When the Chaz was going on before they changed it to Chop, my favorite nickname for the Chaz was Alcatraz.
Right, that's good. That's good.
So Escape from Alcatraz is actually a really good movie idea.
Now I just thought about this the other day. It's like if I had to make a movie version of Chaz, like Escape from Chaz, the closest you could probably get is probably Judgment Night. You ever seen Judgment Night with Emilio Estevez?
No.
Emilio Estevez, Cuba Gooding Jr., Dennis Leary is the villain, which is
wow.
From 1993. I did a review of it. I did a review of it with Ranting Monkey about 2 years ago or something. And I was trying to think, like, could you make a movie where you have to escape a 6-block radius and make it a full-fledged movie? I don't know. That's kind of weird. It's like my horror movie challenge. I've always done this horror movie thought experiment with people. Like,
it's not that weird.
Can you come up with a horror movie scenario that does not inherently involve darkness, isolation, and what was the third thing? Oh crap, I forget what it was now. Anyway, so many movies have like, you're out in the woods alone at night kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Can you have a horror movie that does not require there to be darkness and does not require you to be cut off from civilization and still make it an effective horror movie? And there are some out there that people have thrown out that like, oh yeah, this works and that works. But it's really
Sure.
kind of hard to come up with something that doesn't require those and you also achieve horror.
Why though?
Yeah, but I can name one movie at least that meets the criteria of what you said before, escaping a 6-block radius. There was one movie I can think of that did it very successfully,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and that was The Warriors.
Oh, yeah.
I love that movie.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
They basically had that. It was basically like a video game. They got blamed for the death of that,
Cyrus.
the big Cyrus, the big gang leader, and they had to make their way through enemy territory back to Coney Island, which was their gang territory, and that's what it was. It was just them trying to survive the night and running from other gangs that wanted to kill them. It was very successful. I loved it. I love that movie.
The only other
it was all right. I liked Escape from New York better than that one though. But
but that was like a whole city. This was literally like they had to get like 12 blocks down.
But I mean, isn't that? I mean, the premise was that it was you weren't isolated, and what was it more you said?
So basically the key elements of the threat cannot require isolation and cannot require darkness. If you can take those two elements out,
isn't that like the premise of The Host?
Remind me about what The Host was.
It's just some guy that breaks into a house, and then he finds out that the guy who actually lives there is much worse than him. He's like some sort of serial killer or something.
Oh, but isn't he? They're isolated inside the house.
Well, I mean, it's just a house in the middle of Los Angeles. So sure, if you want to say a house is isolated.
Well, I mean, if the threat is confined to a specific space, then you're talking about isolation, whether you're out in the woods or you're in a lab or
but then so phone booth then.
Wasn't horror.
That was horror. That was a thriller.
Okay.
You got a super chat, by the way. Scrolled up.
Yep. Lige Valkyria. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly, but sorry about that. Hey, Undoom, can I pay you to voice my ringtone? Thanks for keeping me sane. Sure. Just, tell me what you want me to say and you can clip it, I guess.
I think there is an entire series of movies that are truly horrifying and have none of those things. Like most horror has to have darkness. Most horror has to have isolation. Most horror has to have like an overwhelming threat that's stalking you. Because those are the basic human instinctual things that make us scared. Right? Ever since we were cavemen, we were scared of the dark because there's fucking tigers out there. There's lions. Or there's whatever. And that's what speaks to us instinctually. But there is a series of movies that are truly horrifying to behold and have none of that.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much any of the animated Barbie films.
Wait, I thought you were going
to say the Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen series, but
yeah.
Wait, did I fuck up with The Host? Is that what it's called?
I don't know. You did, like there was one, I think it was called Don't Breathe or something, where they broke into a house and there was some guy in the
No, he's talking about the David Hyde Pierce movie that David Hyde Pierce.
Right, exactly. That's the one I'm thinking of. What was that called, The Host? Because now I'm getting sort of
I'm pretty sure it was called The Host.
I'm getting mixed up with that guy from what's his name? You remember that one with all the synthwave music and it's basically he's like a charming Terminator. What was that one called? Wasn't that something with The Host as well or something?
Don't know.
No, The Host is a romantic science fiction thriller adapted from Stephanie Meyer's novel of the same name.
Yeah.
About a young woman who
has maybe it was
alien parasite inside of her.
Perfect Host. Maybe that was it. Let me go to IMDb.
Yeah, Just look up David Hyde Pierce in IMDb. You'll find it.
There is one movie that I can cite that the entirety of the movie does not require those elements and still creates a sense of horror. And
it's The Perfect Host. There we go.
Perfect Host.
Yeah.
Perfect
Now, if you think of The Exorcist creates a atmosphere of dread and unknown and terror in.
Hold on. Garrett Marks in the chat says The Guest. I think that's the one that's the other one I was thinking of. Let's see. Let me just double check on IMDb here. The Guest. That one is an awesome movie. I love that movie.
I've seen the David Hyde Pierce one called The Perfect Host.
The Guest is great. You know why The Guest is great? Because they don't explain everything.
Yeah, exactly.
They leave it open. It's like, why is this guy here? Where did he come from? Why is he doing this? And they just it doesn't matter. It's just the way it is. And of course, the unknown is the biggest threat of all. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, but once again, it still doesn't match your.
No, it doesn't. But that is just such a great movie. If you haven't seen that one, the premise the writer set out for himself when he wrote it was, what if there was a Terminator, but he was charming?
Yeah,
and that's where they got the idea for the script, and it's like amazing. You should see it.
I'll watch it. Yeah, I'll check it out.
No, that movie kind of fits because it's not inherently about being in the dark, and it's not inherently about being isolated from the rest of civilization. This guy's moving through civilization like a serial killer kind of thing. So he is an omnipresent threat no matter the circumstance. The worst parts happen in sort of dark and or isolated situation. Like I say, it's one of those things where you can't start out like there was a remake of I Spit on Your Grave. Okay. And one of the very first things that forced out, the lady goes off into a cabin alone in the woods in order to write her novel. And then within the first 5 minutes, she quote unquote accidentally drops her cell phone in the toilet. Oh, now she's cut off from society.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like very contrived.
That's such a cliche that they even made a movie called A Cabin in the Woods.
Yes, exactly.
I want to do like a parody of that where like she drops her cell phone in the toilet. And she just goes, "God damn it! Now I'm going to get raped."
Cabin in the Woods. You would have thought. I mean, when I saw Cabin in the Woods, I thought about it the same way a couple other people I saw it with. They were like, no self-respecting horror movie maker can honestly or seriously create any movie from now on that even gets near this, because it's obviously been parodied down to death and you can't do it anymore. But of course, that's not what happened. But it was trying to say, hey, why don't we up our game a little bit in sort of how we tell a horror story? As I think what was the message of Cabin in the Woods at the end of the day. It's like, we've seen it all.
Yeah.
Here's everything. We're going to throw everything at you at the end of every cliche monster. Come up with something new, would you? Oh, and then we get It and killer clowns and all that stuff.
Well, it depends on how you break down the genres too. Thexor the Bearded in the chat brought up a good point. When does a thriller become a horror movie? Where's the line? And then you have to break down the subgenres, because then there's like body horror.
And then it depends on when they came out as well, because things that were made in the past might be thrillers now, but they were horror back then. I mean, if you look at The Exorcist now, you'd be like, it's kind of funny almost. It's almost a comedy.
No, that movie's great.
But back then, it was fucking shocking.
Yeah,
but it's not anywhere near shocking today. You know what I mean?
I still find that crucifix scene still gets me whenever I see that movie and they get to that crucifix
it's just fucking comedy to me.
Okay, well,
make Jesus fuck you. Make Jesus fuck you.
I mean, it just doesn't do anything for me. It's just no.
I know. I still have a visceral reaction. I was like, ugh, gross. And especially since like the actress is actually a little girl at that age. She's actually that young. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, they
you got a super chat.
Yep. Lige Valkyria says a few seconds of grunting will do. Fine, man. Also, have you seen Hereditary?
I haven't. No.
No, I've not seen that. So I know it's a movie, and that's all I know about that.
What makes horror and thriller?
Well, before that, I'm gonna give the grunt here as a P for the super chat, I guess. Happy now? You can clip that out. Anyway, yeah. So, what were you going to say?
Well, what makes thrillers and horrors what they are is the list of things that Scribe is talking about. So
Mhm.
it's kind of like it, you can't make a horror thriller without those fundamentals, or else it wouldn't be a horror and thriller. So it's impossible
Uh,
in a way. I mean, all horror and thriller is going to have some sort of like dark themes.
Well, I
It's going to have
I just
it's
don't
going to
agree.
have isolation.
I just don't agree with the isolation thing, because I don't think it's isolation if you're in the middle of Los Angeles.
well, so I think what separates a thriller from a horror movie fundamentally is what are the stakes? Are the stakes purely your physical bodily safety? And is there some kind of a threat coming to kill you kind of thing? I mean, not necessarily always the case. You could conceivably have a horror movie where death isn't the stakes, although that would be an interesting thought experiment. But a
Well,
thriller could be something.
yeah, I guess that's more of a thriller. If the threat is to someone else, then you're like into that territory of
Yeah.
like they're threatening your wife. You have to go rob a bank.
Right. Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Is the threat to the protagonist inherent death or doom versus that they're on a mission to either preserve their life or preserve the life of another person in some way. And you can have variants of that too. I mean, I've seen like techno thrillers that had to do with somebody trying to save their financial situation or something crazy like that, or they're trying to save their business. And there's
here's how I break it down. Here's how I know there's a separation, okay, of the genres.
Mm-hmm.
Thrillers can be horror films, but horror films are not always thrillers. Like, okay, so perfect example. You can have a horror film that's also thrilling, something like Silence of the Lambs,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because that's really based in reality. There are fucking psychopathic serial killers out there, but it got into horror because of all the really kind of dark themes,
Right.
and the really graphic violence.
Mm-hmm.
Like when Hannibal Lecter, I don't know, rips a guy's face off and puts it on himself in order to get away from the police. That's pretty fucking horrifying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But so that's kind of like a horror thriller. Whereas you can have a thriller that's like Taken, like with Liam Neeson trying to get his daughter back.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's not a horror film. That's a thriller, though. It's thrilling to watch, but it's not necessarily a horror.
Well,
right?
and the showcase of that is not necessarily either death or grotesque death, or the character himself is under direct threat. I mean, he's putting himself in danger to save someone else, so that makes it a thriller more than anything else. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I find that thrillers can also, like, thriller is kind of like that in between of action and horror, whereas horror is like, because horror incorporates a lot of the supernatural stuff as well. You monsters and slasher psychos that can't die, and things that aren't explainable. Killer clowns from outer space and Hellraiser coming out of fucking hell to rip people apart with his chains.
Right.
But then you get like these action thrillers that aren't horror, but they can have graphic violence in them.
But there's so many types of horror. You got your jump scares and your body horror, and know.
I always find the supernatural stuff a bit of a lazy, not always, but oftentimes sort of a lazy device, rather than focusing on. It does take a talented person to tell a story and direct a movie where the horror is conceivable. It's not something where you can just sort of say, "Oh, a magical thing happens, and this is now a scary thing because it's unknown," rather than going like directly, like a Silence of the Lambs kind of thing, where it's like, even though Hannibal Lecter as a character is probably someone who could not actually exist in reality, that kind of person is someone we can imagine actually operating.
Mm-hmm. Well, Hannibal Lecter was based on real serial killers.
A combination of traits from various serial killers.
Yes,
that
he was a combination.
Right. Yeah, right. And Buffalo Bill was based on Ed Gein, right?
Yes, Ed Gein. Yeah,
a little bit of Gein, a little bit of Dahmer.
Yeah, right. Buffalo Bill was a far more believable serial killer than the construct of Hannibal Lecter that they put together.
Sure.
But anyway. So yeah, I don't find horror movies that are supernaturally based necessarily as scary as those where I could see that happening to me, kind of thing, you know.
Sure, sure, but the majority of them have some sort of supernatural thing in them. But you are correct that makes it less scary, I would say. Obviously, because then it's just fantasy altogether. But but it also, I guess there is a delineation between like those kind of horror movies that are just fun. Like, like some of the classics like Nightmare on Elm Street. That's not really scary, but it's a horror movie.
You scared the hell out of me when I was a kid.
It depends on how old you are.
It's mostly comedy, It's just fun.
Now it doesn't do anything to me, but I mean, it's a talented storyteller who can tap into that very lizard brain, childlike fear of the dark kind of thing, even when you're an adult, and make it effective. It doesn't happen all the time. It can happen though.
I think a perfect example of like the difference between like horror and then like thriller is the Alien franchise. Alien was horror. Aliens was action thriller. But they were the same creature. They were the same universe, but they were wholly different film styles, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, because you had James Cameron, doing his kind of version of fucking Starship Troopers. But then the first Alien was Ridley Scott doing his kind of slow burn stalking predator film, right?
Yeah, it's basically just a haunted house movie.
In space.
In space.
Space.
Leprechaun in space.
Yeah. But both of those movies are awesome. Obviously, I'm biased towards Aliens. That's my favorite.
You like Alien 3?
Alien 3, nah.
No?
I'd say I'll say this. I preferred over Alien 4.
Everybody does.
And
Alien 3 should have been the last one.
Yeah, it should have. And I'll also say this, that it's beautifully shot. Every fucking shot in Alien 3 can be paused and printed out and be a postcard. It's very nice cinematography in there.
My favorite part, and I know that there's not many, but my favorite part of Alien 3, at least as far as like dark humor, is so you've got this prison colony that's filled with the worst of the worst, murderers, rapists, serial killers, whole nine yards, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's this one part where one of the guys, he comes across his pet dog, and the pet dog's face is all screwed up because unbeknownst to him, the dog had been attacked by a facehugger. And so he's looking at all these bloody like scratches and marks on his dog's face, and he's like, "Boy, what's wrong with you? Who would do this to a dog?" And I'm like, "Colony." It was the funniest line in that whole movie to me because I was like, "What?"
That is pretty good because they're on a planet where everyone is a murderer and a rapist.
Exactly. I was like, "Who would do this?" Like he's got some kind of moral righteousness. It's like, dude, you're a fucking murderer.
that kind of storytelling format. I like Alien 3. Here's how I break down. I like Alien 3 story and setting. I do like that it's kind of on a penal colony and that somehow we're, as the audience, are tricked into rooting for these bad guys because it's like a fucking rapists and murderers versus a killer alien, and we're kind of rooting for the human, right?
Sure.
Because it's you don't want to root for the alien, and it's kind of the same with Predators by Robert Rodriguez, the one where they're all these like badass motherfuckers are just dropped on an alien planet and hunted down, but you're rooting for them even though technically they're the bad people. These are killers and mercenaries and prisoners and fucking rapists and serial killers, and it's like you're rooting. Why aren't we rooting for the predators in this?
Right.
Predators is one of those movies where the quote unquote twist was so easy to spot from the beginning. It's like, oh, big surprise. I'm not going to tell you what it is for those of you who haven't seen it, but there's a twist, a big reveal about one or more of the people involved in the thing, and I saw it coming a mile away. And I hate movies that telegraph that stuff so blatantly. The worst one ever. You ever see or heard of the movie Kiss the Girls? It's
yeah.
I have seen Ashley it, Judd. But I don't remember it though. What was it about?
So it was Ashley Judd and Morgan Freeman's like this detective.
Mm-hmm.
Alex
And-
Cross.
Yeah, right. And it's based on a book series. And Ashley Judd is the one person who escaped from the serial killer.
Mhm.
I think the serial killer's name was like Romeo or something. Anyway, he kidnapped these to murder them. Anyway, so before he even get to the movie, and a spoiler alert for those of you listening, if you've never seen the movie, I can't help it, but the story doesn't work if I don't say so. The opening credits say, Morgan Freeman, Ashley Judd, this person, that person, also starring Carrie Elways. And I'm like, why is Carrie Elways like subcarded on this movie?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he must be the killer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And throughout the movie, they throw all these red herrings at you and everything else. The entire time I'm looking at Carrie Elways going, there's no way they would bring Carrie Elways in, an actor of that caliber, in a low-end role. This is why you didn't name off Kevin Spacey in the credits, of Seven, because it wouldn't, not that it really mattered, that character, but yeah, it was just like, okay. And then when the big reveal comes, I'm like, yeah. It's like, you guys gave it away in the credits, guys. Come on.
Yeah,
Anyway.
yeah. That's kind of the good thing that George Lucas brought about. He fought the fucking unions to be able to have Star Wars open without any fucking actor credits and shit.
Yeah.
Right.
And they didn't like that at all.
No.
He had to fight for that.
Yeah, movies that jump right into it. I mean, some deserve to do it that way. Some are like, okay. But a long, boring credit sequence can always throw you off. So like Seven, they gave you a weird credit sequence that kind of set the tone because you got like Nine Inch Nails playing and all this crazy imagery going on and all that. They made the credits part.
Well, I mean, it's fine if they don't spoil the movie through it. It's like
that too. Yeah, or in the trailer they don't spoil the movie.
I mean, it's not like anyone goes to see a movie to see the trailers, but okay, if you have to have it in there, you had to appease the union. All right, whatever, but don't spoil the fucking thing by putting some main actor in there, like you said.
That was just bizarre. It's the only time I've ever seen that where I was like, we're going to do a murder mystery and we're going to tell you simply by the names of the actors who you need to pay attention to. I'm like,
yeah, that's stupid.
I don't like the industry control over art when it comes to like Hollywood. Like, why is there a group of people out there that have like fucking rules about movies? Like you have to have credits at the beginning, or you have to have a certain this or that, or you can't use these words or you'll get a certain rating. And it's like, why can't people just make the shit they want to make, how they want to make it?
Then people would have jobs and there'd be
exactly
control equals profit, etc. Standards. I mean,
but it doesn't though, because now everyone's going to fucking Toronto or something.
Oh, but they still have to if they want to get a rating and get distribution.
Yeah, sure, but I mean, like the union system is really fucking Hollywood because everyone's going to Canada to film stuff that's supposed to look like it's in New York or whatever.
Yeah, well, for the tax breaks and everything else.
Yeah.
They make it easier for you. And of course, a lot of places in Canada can double for anywhere else with a little CGI and a couple of changed license plates. So
yeah, just get a couple of rentals from the U.S. It's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, most of X-Files was filmed up in Canada, I think, and it was always taking place in D.C. or something.
Yeah. They got some good-looking cities up there that can double. So it's
a lot of open space.
Yeah. So in that sense, we're getting fucked by those union rules. There has to be a limit to it and a balance.
Yeah, there's a lot of films, believe it or not, that are filmed in Georgia.
Oh yeah, Georgia's
because
got a big...
Georgia's offering all these like, tax breaks and shit like that.
Exactly. Because I love those true crime documentaries, and there's a lot of them have that Georgia thing at the end.
Made in Georgia.
Yeah.
Yeah, that they're doing a good job at enticing production companies to go there. So yeah, a couple of the Avengers movies were filmed down there. I think. God,
the whole end battle of Infinity War, where they were in Wakanda and they were battling the aliens and trying to protect Vision.
Mm-hmm.
All that was filmed in Georgia.
Yep.
because of the types of trees they have there, and they even built like a river. They rented this farm in Georgia from some farmer. He had like 400 acres, and they were like, yeah, but really be kind of cool to watch Captain America like beat the shit out of aliens in like shin high water, you know. So they literally built a river on this guy's farm, a fake river that had water pumping into it because it wasn't a natural spring, and they had machines pumping water into this river just to shoot those scenes, and then they had to fucking bring in the machinery and fix the guy's land because that was part of the contract. Like the guy was like, you better put everything back the way you fucking found it. So when they dug this river to shoot the scenes, they had to bring in bulldozers and level it back out again.
The opposite of that was there was a long time ago, and nobody's going to remember this, but there's a movie called This Boy's Life, and it was Robert De Niro and a really young Leonardo DiCaprio, right? And it was sort of a biopic about like the author of the book it was based on. And this kid grew up in some like really like small, tiny little town. I think they live in Oregon or Idaho or something. But anyway, they went literally to that town, and the production company refurbished the downtown area to look like 1950s of that town, right? To make it look like it was legit, because I guess the production needed those very specific locations to tell the story. And then when they were done with production, they said, yeah, well, we're just going to, take all this stuff down, everything else. And the town's like, can you leave it?
Yeah.
The town hasn't looked as good. You just leave it. Is that okay? And they're like, sure. So you got like these vintage like Coca-Cola signs, and all the facades of all the buildings look like they're from the 1950s again. And yeah, it was the biggest renovation the town had, I think, in like 50 years or something.
That's pretty cool.
I would have fucking told him to keep it. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Like similar thing happened with like Lord of the Rings. Like Peter Jackson went to New Zealand.
Oh yeah.
He was like, I'm gonna just buy this land and build the Shire. Like it's not going to be a set; it's going to be a functional area, and it stands to this day. You can go.
Yeah, it's a hotel. It's a hotel now, right?
Yeah, you can stay at the fucking Shire, man.
Yeah.
I have to wonder, like, how much extra money in tourism did those three movies alone bring in?
Huge.
That's got to be huge. Yeah.
Huge amounts.
The film industry in general, because a lot of things are filmed in New Zealand now, if they can do it. It's crazy.
Well, a lot of high fantasy is filmed in New Zealand because one, they're tax breaks, and two, they have these beautiful vistas.
Yeah, and
lots of empty land with big mountains and huge forests, and you can just do so much with high fantasy without capturing anything modern in the background.
Yeah. And Weta Workshop is, I think, headquartered down there. They basically had to build their own production prop house for that movie series, and so they're down there. They make everything too.
Yeah. Here's a funny little Hollywood behind the scenes thing. If you watch the original Halloween, the original John Carpenter's Halloween,
right?
He filmed it in like a small town in Southern California, but it was supposed to be Haddonfield, Illinois. It was supposed to be Haddonfield, Illinois. So it was supposed to be fall. It was supposed to look like Halloween. So they brought in all these like fake dead leaves to put all over the ground. So that there was leaves blowing around, and you really got a sense that this was like small town Americana in Illinois, right?
Right.
And so here it's filmed in like the fall in California, but they had to bring in all these fake leaves. But if you watch that film and watch very carefully, when Jamie Lee Curtis is like walking down the road and it's playing the music, and she's going to the baby, to do her babysitting thing, and it's doing the kind of Michael stalking her, kind of thing. If you look at the background, there's palm trees.
Yeah.
Right.
There's just like palm trees in the background because it was filmed in Southern California. So you can kind of catch those little things, and it's kind of fun to do to kind of see that stuff.
Yeah, that's charming.
Yeah. It was filmed at Mr. Knight says it's filmed in South Pasadena. I knew it was somewhere in California. Yeah.
Today they would have totally CGI'd that shit out, but it's kind of charming.
Yeah, it's one of those things like that's why I love old films too, because you get to catch things like that. Whereas these days they'll just fucking computer it out.
Well, yeah. And if there's one production that wished that there was CGI like that at the time, it was Waterworld. those guys had the worst time ever trying to make the sets face the right direction so they didn't catch sight of ships or airplanes or land and
Right.
everything.
Yeah.
And these days, it would have been a relative snap to make
Mhm.
that part of the movie work, and everything else too. But yeah, that movie was like at the tail end of when you didn't have those resources available to you to get a movie made.
Right. And that was one of the most expensive movies ever filmed, Waterworld.
Yeah, and I want
Yeah,
to
yeah. That was like the
Dude.
biggest dud ever.
Yeah. There's so much about I love learning about stuff behind the scenes stuff. Like that's why I love watching movies on Amazon Prime because they have the trivia tab.
Mm.
And you'll be watching a movie, you can pause it, hit the trivia tab, and read all the trivia of the. And not all movies have it because it depends on the popularity of the film, or the show. But I love reading the trivia tab because you learn all kinds of stuff.
Right.
And I love doing that because I just love movies so much, and some of the
You ever
stuff is
watch-
really fun to learn.
You ever watch? There's a channel on YouTube called Midnight's Edge. You ever watch those guys?
Of
Oh yeah,
course. Yeah.
Oh, God.
They're great.
Yeah, I mean, the inside industry stuff. I mean, the stories behind the movies being made and the figures and the power plays and everything. Those stories alone could be movies in and of themselves, and they're more interesting half the time than the actual films that end up being produced.
Yeah, I mean that pretty much happened with the latest Star Wars. That was all the stuff and all the reviews and all that stuff was much more interesting than the actual movie.
Yeah, and the internal politics of Lucasfilm and Disney and all that stuff, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh my God, it's insane.
It's like a Game of Thrones inside there.
Yeah, it really is. It's like, the great king George Lucas has decided to abdicate his throne and turn his power over to his heir apparent, who takes his kingdom and completely, squanders it into the dirt. It's sort of like Gladiator. Marcus Aurelius dies, and
Right.
the Commodus is like, oh, games for everyone.
Yeah. Speaking of Gladiator, I love these little movie mess ups, and you can still see it because I don't think they digitally removed it. There's a scene in Gladiator where they're fighting in the arena against the chariots,
Mhm.
and they use their shields to knock one of the chariots sideways, and it goes and slides into the wall, like the horses break off, and the chariot crashes into the wall. Well, in that moment, you can see the air tanks
Oh yes,
inside the chariot that launched it sideways.
Right,
You can
right.
see the fucking air tanks with all their nozzles and everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
You
mean, now I can't
you
watch
can also see not Kurt Russell. What's his name?
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe. You can also see his speedos that he's wearing when he's fighting. It's like, oh, okay, that's not really the correct time period there. Okay.
Or what's his name? The black guy that was like his friend. The Digimon. I can't ever say his name. Yeah. I can never say his name. I'm
I
sorry
don't.
that
Yeah,
butchered
I
his
know.
name.
I can see his name, but I can't pronounce it.
Right. But and during that fight scene, he has a helmet on that has like this big tall spike on the top of it.
Mm-hmm.
And during the fight, you can see it flopping around because it's clearly rubber.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like it's like flopping around. It's supposed to be this spike on his head, but it's like flopping in the wind while he's fighting. I love shit like that.
Weird piece. As far as I recall, Dimon Hanju's first movie appearance was as one of the guards in Stargate. He was one of the Egyptian alien guard guys.
Oh,
Yeah,
in the movie or the series?
In the movie.
In the movie, yeah. He was one of the ones that how the aliens had those heads that looked like birds and stuff, but they would come back. That was him. He was the one with the falcon head.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's
Why do I
awesome.
remember this? I wish the brain storage that I had for useless movie trivia and comic book trivia could be put towards something more profitable for me.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I love all those movie trivia and shit. Like fucking Johnny Depp's first film was Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes. He looks so fucking young. You can't even recognize him.
Yeah, there is a point where he was so young he doesn't even really look like him. He looks like Skeet Ulrich.
Yeah.
I still maintain that Skeet Ulrich is Johnny Depp who never grew up.
Yeah, pretty much. Or his younger brother or something.
Right.
Who needs to kid Skeet. I mean,
Yeah.
come on, really? All right.
Yeah, I don't get that either.
Or like Balthazar Getty. It's like, okay, yeah, Balthazar Getty. All right, sure.
Well, that's not his real name.
Well, his last name sure is because he's heir to the Getty fortune.
No, I'm talking about Skeet Ulrich.
Oh, Skeet Ulrich's not his real name? Oh, okay.
His name's Brian. His birth name is Brian Ray Trout.
Wait. All right, so I get the last name. You don't want to be like Mr. Trout, but Skeet?
Yeah, well, what is that?
Yeah, I mean, people pick their their screen names.
Sure.
Because they don't want to.
I get it.
And I bet it's one of those that's like, I want to stick out. I don't want to be like.
Well, he does, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I want people to remember my name. Like
Yeah.
So.
You know what Michael Keaton's real name is?
I used to know because Michael Keaton's.
No, I don't remember.
Michael Douglas.
That's right. He changed it because he didn't want to be mixed up with Michael Douglas. The other Michael Douglas. Yeah.
And just to show off even more of my trivia, you know what Nick Cage's real name is?
It's Coppola.
Yeah, Nicholas Coppola didn't like it.
Yeah.
But you know why? You know why he picked Cage as his last name?
No.
Luke Cage is his favorite superhero.
No, it isn't.
That's the theory. That was what he said.
His favorite superhero is Superman.
Well,
Nick Cage is such a big Superman fan. He named his son Kal-El. Okay, that's how big a fucking fan of Superman Nick Cage is.
Well, let's just agree that he's a comic book fan.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, yeah. Now he might have picked Cage because at the time he really liked Luke Cage. But
right.
I don't know if that's. Yeah,
I don't think he could have. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really an option to call himself Nick Superman. So.
Yeah, he's Nicholas Kim Coppola. His middle name is Kim.
Harry Kim.
Yeah.
Oh, Harry Kim. Oh man. Oh, Voyager. The last almost kind of okay, not really Star Trek series. Enterprise started getting taken off at season 3 before it died.
Mm-hmm.
But Voyager was always, I was like, oh God, Gilligan's Island in space. That was my first thought when I saw the first episode. I was like, oh no, please, not Gilligan's
Voyager's.
Yeah,
a little bit.
It was all right. It was still Star Trek back then. It was just, it was the only problem you had was that Janeway was an insane person. Other than that, It was like, okay, it's kind of like the same thing as TNG. They're going around, they're meeting new people and all that stuff. But
another
Janeway was always like, yeah, let's fucking shoot him.
The Prime Directive? What's that?
Yeah, fuck. The Prime Directive has been rescinded for this mission. That's our favorite line.
Do you guys know why Martin Sheen changed his name?
No.
Because
it was. Yeah, wait. It was. He had a Spanish name, Estevez or something, right?
Ramon Estevez wouldn't sell as well as a actor name.
Right. Yeah, he changed his name because it was like at a time when, like a lot of immigrants from, Latin nations, and it just wouldn't vibe well in Hollywood. But he was born Ramon Gerard Antonio Estevez.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then, one of his sons decided to use the Sheen name and, kind of bounce off his father's, success. Whereas the other son was like, fuck you, I'm keeping my mom's name.
Mm-hmm.
or I'm keeping my original name. Emilio Estevez.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they look really alike.
What would be your actor names? Like if you went to Hollywood and you didn't want to be known by your real name.
Oh, God. I'd call myself
I don't know.
Plumber Snake McGillicuddy. I mean, I want to stand out, I got a top Skeet Ulrich for God's sake. So there you go.
I would go with what already works for me. I would be Magog, but I'd have to choose the last name Estevez just so I could play off of Emilio's success.
Yes, that'll work out.
Magog Estevez is a perfect Hollywood name.
I think your first name should be Day, so you could be Demagogue.
Yeah.
Demagogue.
Demagogue.
You should go the recipe that like porn stars do, where they pick like the last name of their favorite musical artist and like the first name of like their favorite actor or actress or something, and then put them together, and that's their name. Sort of like, Marilyn Manson, that kind of deal. Like you pick two celebrities.
Yeah, yes.
So Manson, that was his favorite.
Well, I mean, he like Marilyn Monroe versus Charles Manson, the dichotomy of the whole thing, fame and celebrity and all that. You got the good side, you got the bad side. So, on a certain sort of stagecraft sense, it worked for him. But I'm talking about like, you see porn stars like, what was that one girl's name? Like her last name's Aniston, but her first name is like, God, I don't know, like Jennifer or something. Or just no, not Jennifer Aniston, but I don't know. Anyway, she took like Jennifer Aniston's last name and gave herself the first name of some other celebrity, and that was her porn name.
I know that like there's a porn star named Katie Morgan, and that's not her real name because like her last name anyway. I think she really is a Katie, but she was like, I like Captain Morgan rum. So she was like, I just like Captain Morgan rum. So she changed her name to Katie Morgan.
Oh, fair enough. Why not?
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, people do that because they're trying to like get like one of those names that kind of stands out and you can say it.
Well,
it's all
it
about
is
branding. It's all about branding, right?
It is good. It is a smart thing to do. I mean, if your name is John Smith, it'd be a hell of a time to try to Google you.
Yeah, no shit, exactly. So you go with
Skeet.
Shit. Yeah, you go with Skeet Ulrich. Yeah,
yeah.
I like that Zach Osborne in the chat said Lance Murder Hornet. That'd be a Lance Murder Hornet would be a fucking good Hollywood name.
Well.
Can you imagine that? Like an action movie comes out, it's like starring Lance Murder Hornet.
I got it. I got my name. I got my celebrity name. It'll be my 2020 celebrity name. It'll be Chaz Corona.
Chaz Corona.
Starring Chaz Corona. Yeah, Chaz. He's like the new action star, Chaz Corona.
Chaz Corona stars in the city. Oh, could work.
Yeah, Chaz Corona.
I want to go to Hollywood and be an actor named George Floyd, star in a movie called Just Breathe.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I just couldn't help myself. God forgive me.
Yeah, and the pygmies in New Guinea.
Lord, I apologize and be with the starving pygmies down New Guinea. Amen.
Yeah.
I wonder how many George Floyds out there. I wonder how many George Floyds out there are like, God, I got to change my name now. You know, like, I wonder how many people are like thinking about that.
Well, it's probably a pretty common name.
Yeah. No shit. I had a pen name at one time when I was writing books, self-published.
Was it Dick?
No, it was Keaton. It was Keaton Floyd.
Keaton Floyd.
Yeah, because at the time that I was writing horror novels and self-publishing my horror novels, I was a huge fan of Buster Keaton films, silent movies. You know, he was the great stone-faced comedian, and I was also a big fan of Pink Floyd. At the time, I was teenage angst years. You know, the teenage angst years where I was writing crappy novels and thinking I was going to be a fucking novelist, and it never worked out.
Yeah. And then you grew up to be a wizard.
And then I grew up to be a wizard on the internet. That's right.
Yeah. Actually, when I hear Floyd, I always think of 2001 and Haywood Floyd.
I always just think of Pink Floyd. Honestly, I do. That's the most famous Floyd, I think. You know,
it's just not a part of my musical vocabulary, I guess.
Wasn't there a character in the Andy Griffith Show called Floyd? I'm vaguely
Maybe
remembering.
I don't know.
Well, Floyd is a popular first name too. I mean, you got like Floyd, Floyd Mayweather. You know, like I don't,
Mm,
you know, there are Floyds out there that are
sure,
first name.
sure.
You know,
It's just 2010 actually. That movie was something I remember from my childhood. It's probably the first time I recognized the name Floyd.
is it fucking raining or something at your place, Scribe? Like what the
It's
fuck?
not me. That must be Undoomed. Because I'm hearing it too, and it's coming through my headphones, not my real life.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I've got headphones too, so maybe it is. I'll just mute when I'm not talking.
Okay.
My bad.
Well, if he's muted, then it's not really a show anymore. Oh.
No, but I got
it's calmed down. Whatever it was, it's calmed down. I don't know
Yeah.
what it was.
Floyd the Barber. Yeah, Big Daddy.
I got noise canceling headphones, so I don't even hear it if it's here.
Okay. Yeah, people in the chat are telling me Floyd the Barber was a character name because I thought, not that I watch a whole lot of Andy Griffith, but my parents, I'm one of those guys that like grew up on what my parents liked when I was a kid, so I heard their music and watched their shows when they were like rerunning on TV, so I can reference things that are far afield from my age group. I think that always made me a little bit more personable for people that were older than me because I could like get references and things better than people my own age, and that was bizarre. So yeah. Anyway, side note.
Right.
Yep.
On the world.
That's fine.
So anyway, the world is on fire.
Yep.
We're supposed to be like talking about what's going on in the world. So I'll go
ahead. Everything's crazy. We have a virus that is spreading throughout the population, and people still like to go out and just have riots. Isn't that nice?
Did you see the video of the ladies getting hit by the car the other day?
I didn't see the video. I just heard about it.
Oh, I clicked on a link and it immediately started playing, and it was absolutely horrifying.
Boy, they got airtime.
Yeah,
like he hit them so hard they flew 20 feet in the air.
Well, so we actually last night on the Lords of the Night, we Monkey watched the video for the first time, and he says I don't know how long a distance that is, but they went 6 highway lines down the road, and people were like, "Oh, dude, that's 10 feet of line," and they're like, "Oh crap!" So yeah, they flew 60 feet down the road with them being hit by their car. It's like Jesus.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
go ahead.
Well, I wouldn't he like they're trying to say that he did it on purpose.
So the as I understand it, so anybody listening, if I've got this wrong, it's just my understanding. But as I understand, the police had blocked off the northbound and southbound lanes near to the protest to try to protect them from traffic or whatever. And the protesters had a couple of cars lined up sidewise to the freeway to try to block any oncoming traffic. Supposedly, this guy came up an either an exit ramp or an exit ramp the wrong direction to get onto the freeway, so he kind of circumvented the precautions that were taken for some reason, and then he just like speeding down the road. And when you watch the video, there's any reasonable driver, there's plenty of time to see that you've got an obstruction in your way and to slow down or at least pull off to the side of the road. Mm-hmm. This guy sped up to it, maneuvered around the barrier cars, and then kept going forward. And at that point, the people who are protesting see the car coming, and some run away from the road and some run towards the middle of the road. And those are the people that end up getting hit. Now, the reports I saw said that there's no evidence that there was any alcohol or drugs involved in the guy's system. So he doesn't have any claim on being inebriated or somehow incapacitated. Not that that would excuse him, but you know what I mean. So he was apparently at least clear-headed, chemically speaking. Who knows what was going on psychologically? But then you also have people who are out in the middle of a freeway. So who's at fault? Well, the guy who obviously hit the people. What are the circumstances? Was he out of control of his car? Did he not understand there was a protest? It's a whole bunch of things they have to look into.
But hold on. Like, is he though? I mean, isn't it illegal to be on a freeway?
You mean who? The guy driving?
No, the people on the freeway.
Well, that's the thing, is that you're not supposed to be in the freeway, but the cops had, again, as I understand it, they had actually taken the precaution as much as they could of closing down the lanes north and south of that area to try to prevent any accidents. But they can't guarantee that because you're in the middle of a freeway. So
Right.
yeah, legally they shouldn't have been there in the first place. Does that then indemnify that guy from the situation and his role in killing that lady? I don't know. These are all I'm not a lawyer. These are all sort of legal, and we don't know all the details of exactly what was going on and ambiguities of it. But
Isn't that kind of the point of a freeway? It's supposed to be clear of everything. It's illegal to walk on a freeway.
Yeah.
You know, everything is.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be able to go fast and not really have to worry about exits or exits, but there are no crossings and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How much of their choices to be on a freeway mitigates this guy's responsibility for the end result? I don't know. That's going to be some kind of legal fight for years or something. But
yeah.
And aren't they calling it a hit and run because he kept going, right?
Well, you see, here's the thing, though, is that there's several people who were filming stuff, and at one point, he had stopped his car. I don't know how far away from the scene, but he'd stopped his car, and a couple of guys were coming up to him and taking video of his license plate to try to make sure they could identify him.
Mm-hmm.
And then another guy was coming up to his car and started like beating on the window. And then the guy started up again and drove down the road some other length of distance away. So was it a hit and run because he got away and tried to escape, or did he go far enough away to try to get away from people who were trying to attack his car? I don't know. That's like another one of those things I'm kind of like, eh.
Well, I mean, if people are trying to beat down your window, you're obviously going to drive away.
Here's what I think happened. Even though the police had a barricade, they obviously missed something, right?
Well,
he was on the right side of the road, so I don't know how he crossed the concrete barriers if he went on an off ramp. He
either came up an off ramp the wrong way or an on ramp. I don't know. I don't know what it was. That's supposedly what.
See, it takes time for police to set up barricades, right? So they could have missed one. He might not have known. Yeah. So we have to have reasonable doubt. If this was the courtroom, we have to have reasonable doubt. Okay, so he was on the right side of the road. I don't know if there's a way yet. We have to see all the evidence, but I don't know if there's a way to prove that he consciously went around the barricade or found a way onto the highway the wrong way. But he was driving on the right side of the road. He was on an interstate, right? So he was doing highway speeds. He might have even been going a little faster, but people do that, right? If it's 70, I go 75.
Mm-hmm.
I go 5 over because no police in his right mind is going to pop somebody going 5 over, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway. And you can see in the video, if you pause it right at the beginning, you can see there's like a big curve before the barricade that the protesters set up, which was this white van and this other car kind of sideways across the street, across the road.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going 70 or 75 around a turn and you see a white van sideways in the road, you don't have long to react.
Right.
Period. Okay.
Yeah.
And so he went for so obviously you can see it in the video, he went for the what you call it?
The breakdown lane?
Yeah, the breakdown lane, right? And to go around it. He had enough time that when he saw the white van parked sideways, he had enough time coming around that corner going at that speed to consciously make the decision to get into the fucking breakdown lane, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly there were people there.
Yeah, that was the one thing that I was thinking about is like from his vantage point, could he have seen the people on the other side of the van from where he was at when he was trying to
they're all, if you watch the video too, they're clearly like wearing black.
Well, yeah,
they're wearing any kind of reflective gear. It's nighttime.
Right.
You know how fast somebody can come up on you in your vision and your brain, the time it takes for that signal in your brain to go to your foot and hit the brake.
Right. And when we're talking about those kind of short time spans, we're not talking about conscious decisions. We're talking about survival instincts, basically.
Yeah.
So he may have just seen the truck and is like, okay, if I drive into that or van or whatever, I'm gonna die. I'm just gonna veer off. Like, am I going to go into the thing and die or go over there? Maybe there's people there. I don't know. You know, it's kind of I don't think there's time for.
It splits. It's literally nanoseconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's literally like, here's a little anecdotal. Okay. Like I had a 1976 Monte Carlo when I was a teenager. It was scary, right? 30,000 original miles. I bought it off of this old lady that barely drove it. And I love that car. I was driving on an access road one night that was 30, 35 mile per hour speed limits, right? And one night I was out with a buddy of mine. We were going to get some fucking beer. And this fucking headlights just came at me. And I had a nanosecond to decide what to do. And in that moment, I decided to swerve off the road because I'd rather be in a ditch than get hit head on. This drunk driver hit my driver's side door because I turned the wheel right. Okay. And in that split second, he bounced off my car because luckily it was a 76 Monte Carlo. I don't know if you've ever seen those cars, but they're fucking boats, right? They're like they're fucking solid steel boats. So that car saved my fucking life, right? But he hit me going 70 on an access road because he was drunk.
Yeah.
And we ended up in the ditch right side up. Luckily, I didn't flip or anything. And we were fine. And he fucking flew off like 40 feet off the road and just fucking rolled 3 times, right? And he survived because he was drunk. He was all limber and shit. But anyway, in that split second, the only thing I was able to do was one single action.
Right.
If I had hit my brakes, he would have hit me. If I had swerved the other way, I would have gone onto the highway because it was an access road next to the highway. I swerved right and went into the ditch, and he still hit me. Now, if you think about that, I was going 35. This guy was going 70 coming right at me. Now, imagine a similar scenario. You come around the corner going 70, and suddenly there's something there. You have time for exactly one action.
Right.
You don't have time to think at all. And his action was swerve right. Get over. Get over out of the way of the thing, right? And suddenly there's people there.
Right. So if that's the thing. So if that was the only thing that happened, let's say he, you know, it's not like he was drunk or, you know, he was high or anything like that. If that was the thing, I hope they're not going to bury him for this. You know what I mean?
Well, also, Scribe, you might not know more about this because you guys brought it up on your stream. I guess you said you guys were talking about it the other night, last night.
Yeah.
Is this race related? Like they're trying to say that this was some sort of like guy who purposely
it was a black guy.
So the driver was a black guy. I wanted to verify that.
Yeah. There's. It's to the best of my knowledge, there's except unless there was some accusations by people that didn't know any better, as often happens on the internet before you have all the information. But I mean, if there is a motive to what that guy did intentionally, and it wasn't just split-second reactions to a situation and a terrible, horrible accident, they haven't revealed that. So if there was some motivation to do this intentionally and to target the protesters, if that exists, it has not yet been revealed by the police.
Now, some people in the chat are saying he worked for like DoorDash or like one of these like food delivery, like Uber Eats.
No, he was dashing all right.
So he might have been like, fuck, the highway's closed. Fuck this. I got to get to my, I got to get my money, maybe he did break the law by circumventing the police barricade and then ended up in this terrible situation. But I doubt he did this on purpose. I doubt he was out at night going, I'm going to go hit me some fucking BLM protesters. I doubt it was. Yeah.
I personally, I couldn't say, and I wouldn't want to declare unless or until I knew better. And so who knows? We'll probably eventually find out one way or the other.
Sure, but it seems unreasonable that a black guy is out trying to hit BLM activists.
I've heard of crazier things.
There are quite a lot of black people I've seen on Twitter doing their own videos and stuff going, this shit is not about
sure, of course.
So don't get me wrong, it could happen, it really could.
Yeah.
But I don't think this situation is that. I think this guy was trying to get somewhere, was like, fuck closing the highway. I'm getting on the highway. Like, I got to get to my fucking destination. And these dumbasses, what is it with protesters these days that want to block major interstate roads and shit? Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Doesn't make
Yeah,
any sense.
I mean,
I mean,
I get what they're trying to do, but you can't do that on a freeway. That is just inherently dangerous.
or not without a lot more preparation and notice or something. I mean,
No, no,
a lot of,
I mean, no. I just don't think it should be allowed.
well, I don't
It's
think it
not.
should be allowed either. I can see where they might be taking their inspiration from because I mean,
You could
Martin
do
Luther
that
King-
in the middle of a city where everything's like fucking 35 or 25 or whatever, but not on a freeway.
Yeah. I've seen in the past, I think it was the Trayvon Martin protests or whatever, that people blocked freeways. And it was backed up for miles because they didn't have any notice of the protest, right? And they couldn't stop it from happening. And so it was backed up for miles, and there were like ambulances with like people dying in the back trying to get to the hospital, and they couldn't
Yeah, yeah.
because the fucking highway was backed up because these idiots stop blocking major roads.
Yeah,
I get that you want to protest, but
yeah, but there's a time and a place, and yeah, that should just be broken up. If you ask me, just break that shit up and drag them the fuck out of there, because that's been proven right there. It's dangerous.
yeah, and there's been situations too. I don't know if you guys saw the video, and it's happened multiple times, where semi trucks will get stopped by these people on highways, and then they'll pull the guys out their trucks, beat the shit out of them.
Well, that happened in the LA riots when Reginald Denny was pulled out of his
Right.
truck and bashed in with a brick. Yeah.
Yeah, and they did it recently again. I saw a video of the new BLM protests. I don't remember I think it was Minneapolis or whatever. The guy slowed down and stopped for the protest on the highway, and they pulled him out. They pulled him out the truck and beat the hell out of him. And it's like, I was a truck driver for years. I wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I wouldn't stop. You have to understand also that those trucks don't stop easy. All right. You burn your brakes up just using brakes. Depends on how fast you're going, obviously, and if you're going downhill, uphill, whatever. So you do have to downshift, right? And it's a double clutch system most of the time, unless they're driving an automatic. There are automatics nowadays, but anyway. But there's a lot of weight behind those trucks, especially if you're hauling a load. Now, in this particular video, this guy was hauling a tanker. Now, that could have been gas. That could have been oil. You people jumped in front of this fucking truck. They're lucky he stopped, right? I'm sorry, but like I'm just gonna say this: you jump on a fucking highway and try to stop semi trucks and want to fucking pull the guys out of their trucks and beat the shit out of them. You deserve to get run over. I'm gonna go ahead and say it now publicly. You fucking deserve it. Truckers, you guys listening that are truckers, don't fucking stop for these people. They want to hurt you. Don't stop. You are in a much bigger thing than they will ever be in.
Right.
You can run over a Mazda in that fucking truck and still keep going, okay? Like, it's not going to hurt you. Like, I get people don't want to get in trouble. They don't want to hit somebody and have to fucking explain to their company that they ran some idiot over. They don't want that on their conscience. I get all of that.
Yes.
But what are your options in that situation? Hit somebody and live with the guilt of running somebody over, or stop your truck and get pulled over and get the shit beat out of you?
Yeah.
What are your options? I would choose option A. I'll go ahead and live with. I'll go ahead and try to live through the horror of running somebody over. I understand the need to protest, but can we have some common sense, people? Okay.
Yeah.
Can we have some common sense?
No, we
Not
can't.
amongst the
We can't. Obviously. Holy shit! Have you seen the world?
Not amongst a mob. You're not going to have any common sense. What was that? There's a great line from Men in Black that Tommy Lee Jones
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Human beings can be smart people, but what was it? People are panicky animals.
Here goes. A person is smart.
Right.
People are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals, and you know it. 1,500 years ago, everybody knew the Earth was the center of the universe. 500 years ago, everybody knew the Earth was flat. And 15 minutes ago, you knew that humans were alone on this planet. Imagine what you'll know tomorrow. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. There, you have a better memory than me.
Well, no, I was reading that one. That was not. I remember there is the quote. I was not reciting it from memory. That was me reading it off of the quote list.
Right.
The internet has a better memory than the rest of us. What was the Benjamin Franklin quote? I think it was the weakest ink is better than the strongest memory.
That does not apply to the internet though, because they can memory hole shit.
No kidding. Everybody's so surprised. Like, this was just this clip was recently resurfaced. Like, resurfaced. Somebody went digging for that and they pulled it up. It's not deleted or something. Some bullshit like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Outrage archaeologists, they go digging for someone. It's like, oh, somebody's popular now. Let's go see if they ever said anything that could be construed as bad. Oh, they did once. You should fire them. We fired them. Good for you. I'm a hero.
Yeah.
That's interesting. In the
Cloud
chat,
chasing.
Garrett Marks pulls up something interesting.
Mm-hmm.
He says a website CDL Life, a website for truckers, polled its readers. 80% said they wouldn't deliver to places that got rid of their police.
Yeah.
Why would they?
Yeah.
I mean, there's delivering, and then there's risking your life.
Yeah, it's kind of like that video that came out during the Chaz of after the shooting. There was like a shooting, right? And somebody was dying on the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the ambulance was sitting there outside the gateway to the Chaz.
Right.
And the guy inside the ambulance was just talking on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
And this person with their cell phone come up and was like, "You're letting him die. Why won't you help? You're letting him die." And the guy inside the ambulance just wouldn't respond. He was just talking on the radio, ignoring the idiot with the phone.
Mm-hmm.
But you're looking at that going, yeah, they're 2 blocks from this guy who needs their help.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not going to go into a potentially dangerous situation without a police escort.
Right.
Yeah, and even when the police tried to get in there, they were stopped, they were halted, they had people attacking them, they had people there's this one video where it was one of the shootings where they're trying to get to the site of the shooting. The cops didn't know that the people that had been shot had already been transported away from the area. So They were getting in there because nobody was communicating with the cops about it. But they're trying to get in there, and you've got all these protesters trying to bar them from going in. And there's this one guy. There was one guy yelling at him, and he was absolutely losing his shit. Like, he saw the police and he had a total nervous breakdown, screaming and crying right there, just because they were within 5 feet of him. And of course, he was following them, which kind of causing your own problem there. But no, it was absolute chaos. And yeah, no, I wouldn't want to go in there without some kind of protection, because you had people roaming the streets as a vigilante police squad, quote unquote,
Mm-hmm.
with semi-automatic rifles and things. There's this video. It's the end of a longer live stream where a guy's just out there just filming what's going on. All of a sudden, you hear shooting in the background, and then some guy who says he's with the Chaz police group or security force or something comes up and just takes the guy's camera out of his hands. Says, "This is mine now. I don't know who you are. You don't belong here. Who are you?" and the camera's still, the phone is still streaming this whole time.
Yeah.
So he films his own face. He films himself walking down the street with this guy's phone, talking to other people. He comes up on the security force, and it's these guys that are like paramilitary, masked. They're all armed up guys that they're calling themselves the security force, and they're just taking people's property. They're just wandering around. And supposedly that last shooting where the 2 kids got shot in the car, they were shot by the quote unquote security force trying to keep order. It's just like absolute madness.
But it's just a summer of love, yo.
Oh God, that man is such a moron. If she is not recalled after this, Seattle's got way too much tolerance for insanity.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not holding out much hope.
Well, it's over now, isn't it? Like, as soon as the protesters showed up to the mayor's house, that's when she was like, "Okay, this needs to end."
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a threat to her personal stuff. That
Yep.
was a
At first, it was like it's kind of like an outdoor music festival. It's okay. It'll be, it's peaceful. It's an Occupy demonstration. We should blah blah blah. We're not gonna do anything. These people aren't hurting anybody. Meanwhile, there's like rapes and fucking murders inside the Chaz, right?
Mhm.
And there's these like fucking jackboot police force. Like, they want to defund the police, and yet they have a police force that follows no laws whatsoever, has no rules, has
Right.
no authority, has no actual like authority structure that is accountable to a law. And then you have this kind of chaos going on.
Mhm.
But then suddenly, when the protesters come out to the mayor's house, she's like, "Okay, send in the cops." And it took them like an hour. That was it, like, right, to disperse it. It was like an hour, 2 hours, and it was done. Like, it was.
Yep. That is true hypocrisy.
You got a super chat.
Yep. Dr. Litch says they should make an alternative history movie where black South African merchants became the greatest explorer colonists of the New World. Just to set off the liberal that hate American history. Actually, they're doing that.
Cracker.
Cracker.
It's called Cracker. Yes,
Cracker. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So that they've thought of that. That you can go look that up.
I don't think that's going to go over as well as they think it is.
I mean, I like it because
Well, there was a movie way back when called it was a John Travolta movie, Harry Belafonte, called White Man's Burden, which was essentially the same thing. It was a alternate USA where
right.
Whites were the minority and black people were the majority, and it was just kind of
right. But here's the thing: we're always like telling when feminists and all those guys are having their meltdowns about games and movies and all that, we're always telling them, just go make your own movie then. So here they're doing this here. So I'm applauding this. Great. You're doing your own movie. You have your fantasy the way you want it. Awesome. Like, that's what you should do. So I think this is a great idea.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I'm just saying it's not going to go over. Like, a lot of people
I don't know if it's going to make money or, but I think it's a great idea.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the logic behind it, right? Like, some people are treating Cracker as this, it's going to be basically like a black power fantasy. It's like, what if we were the ones that were the slave owners and white people were enslaved to us, and then we can have a whole movie about, like, powerful black slave owners that, like, rape white women and fucking whip and lash fucking white people for not working hard enough. And on one hand, it's like a black power fantasy, right? But on the other hand, what's it really teaching? Like, what's the real lesson behind it, right? That I don't think it's gonna go over the way they think it is, because if you really think about that situation, slavery was, to this day, remains to be America's greatest shame, right?
Right.
Like, it's outside of the Native Americans, it's America's greatest shame. Well, now you're flipping the script. It's going to be black people in this movie doing the horrible things that you guys supposedly hate, the slave trade, right? But now it's going to be black people who are going to be the villains. Right. They're going to be the evil slave owners. Like, it's not going to go over that well, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea. I mean, I'm sure a lot of subservient white journalists are going to go out and, it's the greatest movie ever and all that,
Yeah, they think it's going to be a lesson, like, this is how we feel. White people can watch this and know how we feel. But I don't think that's going to happen, because it didn't actually happen. It's a fantasy. So a lot of people are going to watch it, and they're not going to be like, oh, this is how black people feel. A lot of people are going to watch it and go, okay, the black guys are the bad guys of this movie. Right.
Or they're like, they're just going to be like, oh, that was a movie.
Yeah.
Like, okay. So, I mean, maybe it's a good movie. I don't know. It could be like, okay, well, but that's just a movie. Okay. They think that entertainment is the end all and be all of human existence. It's like, no, it's just a fucking movie, asshole.
Yeah. Like Kathleen Kennedy thinks that by taking over Star Wars, she's going to institute some kind of cultural shift in feminist thinking or something. It's like, dude, these are movies.
Exactly.
Unless you're nuts, you don't use movies as a guidebook for how to act in the world.
Right.
No, you write a story and then maybe you put in a hint somewhere.
Yeah. There might be a lesson. There can be a moral lesson.
Yeah.
Like in a Star Trek episode.
Sure, but you never shove it down people's throat because they have to think they came up with it themselves when they see it.
Right.
The viewer has to think, oh, but wait a minute. Well, this is not good. I'm so smart for thinking of this, right? Obviously, that's what the end result should be if you've written a smart moral story.
Yes.
Movies and entertainment are it's the same with comic books and novels. And I mean, all forms of entertainment can be a good vehicle for tackling human issues, you know, and social issues, cultural issues.
Sci-fi is particularly good for that.
Right. But at the same time, it is also kind of one of those it's supposed to just be kind of food for thought. It's not supposed to be a guide to your life.
No, it's not. It's not supposed to sort of present a complete solution for everything. It's just supposed to make you think, and then when you figure it out, you're supposed to think it was your idea. That's when you have a smart script. If you really wanted to make a shift in people's thinking.
Yeah, and culturally, I think what more impacts than entertainment is actual like news media and academia.
Yeah.
Those are the things that really get people on like drinking the Kool-Aid, which is why we find ourselves in this kind of backwards world of where like things don't mean what they used to mean. Like perfect example, I tweeted about this today. To the woke culture that's like growing massively in this country right now because of the push of Marx's teachings is this idea of like anti-racism means focus on race constantly.
Right. Yeah. That was a pretty good tweet.
I've got I got a whole series on my channel called Curriculum of Fear, where I take a look at real classrooms or school programs and initiatives or teachers talking about what they do. Because I don't think focusing on the big ticket people and organizations necessarily tells you a whole lot about what's going on in the world. I think you really have to look at the people in charge of the sort of lesser known and important but fringe areas of our world, like education, like business, like who's informing the corporations on how to hire or behave, who's setting the agenda for schools and things like that. And it's really creepy. It is really creepy how you hear the same messages over and over again about how words don't mean what they mean anymore. We're here to I've seen it dozens of times now where actual like teachers in high schools and stuff, they say part of their responsibility is to inform new activists. And it's really, really disturbing how they not only have they drunk their own Kool-Aid, but a lot of teachers or a lot of educational institutions now really do see themselves as the parents of the children. You rarely hear about involving parents in the educational process and some of these things I look at because the teachers have assumed this role of they are the caretakers, they are the guides through life. They know best for the kids. Very disturbing stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Obviously, parents seem to be capitulating.
Yeah, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I guess that's pretty much what they want, though. That's kind of a very it's a staple within communist countries that you leave the upbringing of kids to the state.
Yes, exactly.
And obviously that works out great for them.
Yeah, and I've also in some of the same videos where they've had parents part of the interview process or something. It's really disturbing to hear how the parents have effectively abdicated their roles
Mm-hmm.
as teachers to their own children, raising their own children, and just basically deferred to the culture of the school and this wonderful community that they found when they brought their kids to this private school. And I'm just like, "Ooh, you are creepy. That is really that's a sad state of affairs right there."
Right, right. Got a super chat from Dr. Litch. He says, look, I'm not some dumb supremacist or anything, but how did 95% of Native Americans suffer from disease from colonists, but all the Africans somehow persisted through transports and the new continent, huh? I would probably say that happened because they were exposed to those sicknesses from having contact with Europe and vice versa. What do you think?
I'm not a,
Sorry?
yeah, I'm not a scientist. I couldn't tell you what the rates were of death of disease by imported slaves versus Native Americans.
No, but it is true that they weren't affected by those plagues that we gave the Native Americans the same way. But I think that's probably because they were exposed to them in Europe. Not Europe, but in Africa, because, there were all these exchanges between Africa and Europe, because a lot of countries had colonies and all that.
Sure.
Yeah. That and it's a timeline thing. When we settled in the New World
Mm-hmm.
and Europeans came over and settled in the New York, I say we as a general human thing, right? Like European.
Mm.
It was what 1600s,
Right.
the first colonies, and we didn't fight for our independence from England until 1776.
Mm-hmm.
And between then and 1776, you had like the French Indian Wars and all that stuff happening.
Right.
You had Europeans settling in Canada. You had the French settling in the southern in Canada, and also in like Louisiana and on up, and all of that was exposing the Native Americans to a new biohazard. Like, people often think that the Europeans purposely like gave Indians smallpox by giving them blankets, right?
Right.
But they didn't know what back then they didn't know about science, and they didn't know what diseases really were and how to utilize them as a weapon.
They had no idea. It was just,
they had no fucking idea.
They talked about bad air and shit.
Yeah, so I don't know if it was on purpose, but I can say this, that by the time we were bringing slaves over,
mm-hmm.
a lot of Africa had already been colonized, and there was a lot of death in Africa from European diseases making their way to Africa.
Right.
So plenty of fucking black African people died of diseases brought by Europeans as well as Native Americans.
Yes, but that had already happened.
Yeah, but it already had happened. And there was no real immunity to certain diseases. By the time we were bringing slaves over, the smallpox was relatively gone as a disease. So,
right.
I mean, it just, a lot of it's timeline, a lot of it is like different biological factors and, things like that. I don't want people to fall into the trap of believing it was all done on purpose as some sort of new biological warfare on purpose. Right. I think Europeans just showed up and was like, hey, and then people were like fucking dropping dead. It's like, what happened to these fucking people?
Right.
I don't think they did it on necessarily did it on purpose.
Obviously, because Europeans have gone through and developed immunity, so...
Yep, millions of people died.
Yeah, we've had some serious fucking outbreaks in Europe, and when that stuff reached over there, they had no immune system for it. It's just it's biology, basically.
The same thing happens even today in modern times. If you were to leave your home and go to a foreign place, like if I were to take a trip to India,
mm-hmm.
I am not used. My body is not built and prepared for the microbes and bacteria that's in their water.
Exactly.
And if stuff like that.
If we didn't have all this global air travel, then Corona could have been like a local thing.
Yep, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, malaria in places like India, obviously, that's something we don't have to deal with in other parts of the world. But that kills a shitload of people.
Yeah, I mean, there's all these horrible diseases that still affected even Europeans. So I don't think that they purposely wanted to do that because it would still make them sick too. People think that the Europeans were just utterly immune to like smallpox, immune to smallpox. No, they were surviving it at a much higher rate, but they were still dying from it. There were still
Yeah.
plenty of white people that died from smallpox too when they came to the New World and brought it with them by accident.
Oh,
Rats
yeah.
on the ship, rats on the ships and stuff like that. People died in transit
Yes.
in the ships. They were there. You know how many burials at sea there were on the way to the New World because you'd be down in the deck of that ship and some fucking rat would drop a damn flea on you and you'd fucking die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody was dropping dead back then. Anything could kill you. You get a fucking splinter and you would die back then. So, let's not.
That's probably true.
Let's not pretend that the Europeans were just like all immune to everything and then they just killed Native Americans and black people with their diseases. It's not like that. Everybody was dying of that shit. Everybody.
Yeah.
And they did eventually start getting, cures and stuff. Sulfa drugs and things like that started being developed in the later, 19th century. We were able to beat polio. We were able to beat mumps, or, we were built, what's it called? Group immunity or
herd immunity.
Herd immunity started happening with things like mumps and measles. That kind of, and cleaner living started happening. One of the greatest inventions of mankind was antiseptic soap. Yeah. It was just, we started to wash our asses more and we started living better. We started living more.
Wash your ass.
Yeah. You're thinking of a time when people probably bathed once a year in the cold river.
I can't even imagine that.
Right. And we went from that to actually bathing more often, and that actually saved lots of people. You gotta kind of, there's so many things to take into consideration when looking at a situation like that historically, that you just have to kind of accept that that's just the way it was. Everybody was dying from that shit, not just the Native Americans and black people. There were plenty of Europeans that caught diseases that were native to, new places, that those people built up immunity to.
Right.
You gotta think of all those islands in the Caribbean during the pirate days. Back when the Spanish and the English and the French were all fighting over, the Caribbean Isles and the New World, and expanding their trade empires. You'd land on a brand new island with some native peoples on it wearing grass skirts, and you'd be like, "Wow, this is a nice little island. I like this little island. Let's claim it for Spain." And 2 weeks later, everybody's sick. And it's like, what the fuck is killing us? Probably something native to that island and you've never been exposed to.
Yeah, that must have happened so much that we don't even know about it.
Yeah, and we don't even know what diseases killed them. People would just land on an island and be like, this is ours. 2 weeks later, send more people. Why? We're dying. I don't know why, but we are.
Yeah. And the correct way to read that would probably have been, don't send any more people to that island.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't there, there's a theory about the Roanoke Island, that's what happened. The mysterious vanishing colony.
Mm-hmm.
Where the English showed up and they're like, where the fuck is all our people? There's houses here. There's there's furniture and all this stuff, but there's nobody in this village. And all they found was the words Croatoa carved into a tree. And it's like, nobody knows what the fuck that meant. A lot of people believe that Croatoa was some sort of Native American tribe that was friendly, that maybe these people were getting sick and they didn't know what to do. So they went to the Indians for help and then they all died. But that's one of the theories, is that some sort of horrible fucking disease native to Roanoke Island, somebody ate a rabbit and that was it. It fucked everybody up.
Yeah, but where was that?
Roanoke Island, North Carolina.
Is that the one far out in the sea?
It's not far. It's right off the shore, but it's one of the first. It's the site of a famous missing colony. Like everybody just up and disappeared, you know.
Right.
And there's a lot of like supernatural theories about it, like witchcraft or the gods were angry or something and wiped out all those people. But in reality, I think scientifically, a lot of people just believe that they all got sick and went somewhere else to get away from the plague, and then they all died.
Right. Right.
You know, no.
Hold on. Got a super chat here from Primarch Vulcan. Says the idea that we commit biological warfare on Native Americans is ludicrous, considering the concept of biological warfare didn't exist till World War I. Yeah. I mean, they theoretically could have probably figured it out, but I don't think they did.
They did a long time ago. Like there was forms of biological warfare in medieval times.
Okay, yeah,
Sure.
okay, with the plague and all that, sure.
Tossing bodies over the wall kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
They'd launch the carcass of dead cows over the walls of castles during the siege
that's
to
true.
make people
That's
sick.
true. That's true. Okay, so I was wrong.
So the modern concept of biological warfare, meaning in a lab we would create some sort of terrible thing on purpose to use as a weapon. That's modern biological warfare. That's
obviously modern. But the thing is, did they know that they were given those blankets with the fleas, right?
Some of them did. There was an incident where these people were like, "Oh, those Indians want to trade. I give them the blankets from the sick house. Give them the blankets from the sick house. Fuck them." But whether or not it was used as actual warfare and not just human, like we don't want to give these Indians our good shit, give them the sick people shit.
Right.
It could have been something that stupid. It could have been something that fucking minuscule. It's like, we don't want to give you the good shit. Give them the sick people's blankets. They're going to die anyway. And then the Indians go off and get sick.
Right.
But whether it was like a mustache twirling, European Bond villain that was like, give them the smallpox. I doubt it was anything like that. I doubt it was any.
No, I'm pretty sure we can be sure about that.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just not sure they had a firm grasp of what sickness and illness and all that stuff actually was.
You got to think that most of the people that settled in that in the east coast of Europe, most Europeans that settled in America on the east coast were Protestants. So, and like really hardcore Christians. We're talking the Puritans, right? We're talking the Puritans. These people were like, it's the devil. That was their explanation for sickness and death and plague, is either God's angry at us for not being pure enough, or it's the devil.
Yeah. And probably both.
So, yeah, there probably was a case of racism or xenophobia where the Native Americans come to trade and some European white Protestant preacher is all like, give them the devil blankets. Let them people deal with the devil blankets. Yeah, that probably did happen. But whether it was like an actual, like, we're going to declare war on these Indian tribes by spreading sickness, I doubt that.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the problem with being that pure in your faith, is that, well, then everything's just in the will of God.
Yeah.
So does it even matter what you do then?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, everything was detrimental back then. Like I said, you could have given some Indian, and this happened too. I've heard stories like this where Native Americans would trade with, white settlers, and they'd trade for like guns, muskets, and pelts and furs in exchange for like land, for farmland, right? And then the Native Americans was like, that's a good trade. I got a musket and a beaver pelt. And all I had to do was give up 400 acres of land. And then they go off, these Native Americans, thinking they got a good deal, right? And then they go off and the musket misfires and blows up in their face and kills somebody. Because that happened. Some of these muskets would just malfunction and they weren't, You know, they weren't perfect weapons. Sometimes they'd explode,
Right.
literally, and splinters of wood and metal would hit you in the face and you'd die. And they would probably, and the Native Americans would probably think, those Europeans fucking cursed us. They fucking gave us a cursed goddamn fucking rifle. The spirits are angry at us. And then a war would start because of that.
Right.
Right? A war would start. So that's just, you can't apply modern day like morals and understanding of warfare to back then. Things were just crazy, right?
Right. So we got a super chat from Dex Luther. It says Americans vacationing in Mexico have to get shots and are told not to drink the water. And that's today and really close. I can't imagine how bad it was 200 or 100, 200 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Could you imagine 200 years ago, the white European settlers show up and they're like, hey, Native Americans, if you give us this land, we'll give you Taco Bell. And Native Americans would think about us once they ate that Taco Bell? They'd be shitting in the woods going, fucking white people.
Just devil.
Devil food they gave us.
Oh, well, that is still devil food. That'll always be devil food.
I built up an immunity to Taco Bell, but these Native Americans, they weren't immune to Taco Bell yet.
No.
Hell. But yeah, the Native Americans did think they were getting a fair trade because they didn't think they owned the land. They were just like, these white people want to go over there and build a farm. Fine, let them build a farm as long as they give us cool shit. Like they had a different idea of ownership.
Right.
Culturally. And so that's one of the things that really hurt the Native Americans in their ability to negotiate. You know, there's actually a story where Europeans also used science to get what they wanted. I learned this from Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about it on a Joe Rogan podcast, I believe, where I think it was Christopher Columbus who had an understanding of the stars, who studied astronomy, was like, they needed supplies to go back home, and they didn't have enough. They knew they couldn't make the journey, so they went to the native tribes and were like, if you give us food to take with us, you know, we'll give you this. And this tribe was like, no, like, we're not going to help you. Fuck off. And he was just like, okay, well, if you don't help us and give us food, my God will be angry. And to prove that my God will be angry, in 3 days there will be an eclipse of the sun. And he knew it was coming because he'd studied astrology, or astronomy,
right?
Not astrology, astronomy. And because he used that science, in 3 days the sun was eclipsed, and the Native Americans thought, "Oh shit, his God's powerful."
Right.
And they gave him all their shit. They were like, okay, white man, you proved it. Your God is all powerful. We'll give you food.
Right. That's both cool and sad.
Right. You know, unfortunately, it is kind of the lot of human history, is oftentimes the more powerful and technologically advanced scientific civilizations have always conquered weaker civilizations. I'm sorry to say it.
Not against the Ewoks.
Oh Jesus!
Well, that's a nice segue. What about the aliens when they invade us?
Yeah, I mean, we got to find a way, right?
Right. I mean, they're going to wipe us out, just like we wiped out the Indians, right?
There's a great book series that I like. It's Alternate History. It's by the author's name is a little odd, but his name is Harry Turtledove, and he did this book series of alternate history wherein aliens invade Earth in the middle of World War II. So you have all of the humans fractured.
I've seen this episode. It was on Enterprise.
Oh, there's been stuff like that. But this series came out in like the 1990s or whatever. And the aliens are sufficiently technologically advanced that they are far beyond humans, but they still operate on real life physics, so to speak, and the culture that he gave for these aliens and how they think about how things work. Like they sent probes to Earth hundreds and hundreds of years ago and saw guys riding around on horses with metal swords and things and thought, oh, okay, well, they're no big deal, because their concept of the development of technology is so methodical and slow paced from where they come from, because they don't have the same kind of environment that we do, that they, in their minds, what they see now will be the same as it will be 500 years from now. So the time it'll take us to travel from point A to point B to bring this planet into the empire, no big deal. Of course, when they arrive, they find out we've got tanks and machine guns and aircraft, and we've got atomic bombs being researched. Like, oh, shit. And so it's got that thing where they're just a little bit ahead of us, but ahead of us enough that they do a lot of damage. But eventually they come upon the realization that we're not coming up against somebody we thought was going to be easy. And then comes all the complications. It's a very, very interesting book, both set of books, both on science fiction level, but also on sort of analyzing the power of nations and that kind of thing.
That sounds pretty awesome. What was it called again?
It's really good. Well, it's a 4-book series. So there's lots of books in the series. The only books you really care about, because they're the best ones, it's called the World War series by Harry Turtledove. And all of the titles go along the lines of, I think the first one's called Upsetting the Balance, and then there's Tilting the Balance, and there's Setting the Balance, stuff like that. So if you look it up on Amazon, you can find the original 4 books. Now, there were books that were written that tell the story decades after World War II. They're not as good, and they're not necessary. If you read those first 4 books, you're getting an epic sci-fi tale set in the real world, more or less, and taking into account real historical figures and events, and speculating, well, what would have happened if? And he does a very good job at that. He wrote a standalone book before that called The Guns of the South, wherein the South in the Civil War attained AK-47s, and how that changed the whole dynamic. Now, how they attained the AK-47s is pretty much the plot device, but regardless, it was like, what would have happened if the South had a slight technological advantage?
That's like the opening of Time Cop.
Oh yeah, no, he does a lot of great books. He does a whole bunch of stuff like the classic one, what if the Nazis had won World War II?
Yeah.
Right.
What if the Americans had never succeeded in the revolution and had to come to a negotiation with King George? There's a great book that he did. He co-authored a book with Richard Dreyfuss, of all people, called The Two Georges, which is in the universe. It's the name of a painting wherein George Washington and King George sign an accord where America becomes just another essentially vassal state of Britain. And what does the world look like in the 1950s or something after that? And it's crazy good stuff. So if you like alternate history or speculative fiction and stuff like that, I love that stuff.
I'm going to have to look that up.
I've
never read that. That's awesome.
I read one of those, even though I forgot what it was, because my dad bought a book thinking he loves historical novels like Glory and fucking Red Badge of Courage and things like that. And he bought a book randomly because it had a picture of like a Confederate soldier on the front of it. He thought it was a Civil War book, and he bought it, and he didn't notice that the artwork on the front, the Confederate soldier was holding a Kalashnikov.
Yeah, no, that's the Guns of the South. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Guns of the South. Yeah. And so when he started to read it, he was like, wow. And he gave it to me, and I actually read it. So I know exactly what you're talking about, who you're talking about.
Yeah, the cover
that's
art
pretty
shows,
awesome.
The cover art shows Robert E. Lee holding an AK-47. And it's kind of like, oh, what? Yeah.
Right, but it's kind of like the man in the high castle, that kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah, it is, and not all of them are science fiction. Some of them are straight like speculative fiction. Like, if this historical event had gone this other way, what would have been a reasonable sort of extrapolated result from the politics of the time and the figures involved? Not all of them involve time travel or space travel.
No, but I mean, isn't that kind of a science fiction genre in itself?
Sort of. Well, I mean, alternate history is a fiction genre. It doesn't necessarily involve science or speculative science.
No, but I would argue that it kind of falls under science fiction, though.
It can. I mean, especially in the instances where he projects, like, okay, if America had unified with Britain at that time, and there wasn't the same sense of American, ingenuity and encouragement towards development, and everything had to go through much more Byzantine situations, we'd still be in dirigibles and steam power rather than computers and electricity and all that kind of stuff. So there is a speculative element to the development of technology. So in that sense, you could say it's science fiction, sure.
Right. Okay, so we got a super chat from Hammer 13 Thor. Says, hope all you had a good 4th of July. Yes, I did. I hope you guys did too. U.S. is number one. Of course. I mean, that's not even a thing. Of course, we're always going to be top hegemony. We're going to retain the hegemony of the world. That's not even a question.
Forever and ever.
And I'd just like to point out that he donated $17.76. So that's like an awesome number. And he goes on, would like to see you guys stream like this more. Would like to see you guys stream more like this. Yes, I'm having a great time. And I hope you're having a great time too, and it seems like you are, so thank you for that. When will we see guest characters with Magog roasts our world together? I guess I'm assuming he wants to know if you'll have guest characters on side quests then?
Maybe, yeah. He's probably definitely talking about actual, like, in-character stuff, and that's kind of hard to do because not a lot of people want to try to be like a different character.
Yeah.
Like, if Undoomed come over and was a guest on SideQuest, he would just be Undoomed. He wouldn't be,
Well, I don't know. With his voice, he could play a dark wizard. I think he'd probably get away with that.
Yeah, I could probably do that.
It depends. It depends if you have a YouTuber who is, doing a persona for their channel or their stuff rather than just like being effectively themselves. Although how easy it is to tell when that's actually happening versus the alternative is not always clear.
Right. But that.
Well, yeah, just as that happened, I was saying I needed to. Well, I mean, I can hang on a few more minutes, but I got to take off soon because I got to do some stuff and then get ready for bed because I get up at 4 a.m. for work. The stream just got Clintoned. Somebody said. That's hilarious.
It's back up on my end a little bit.
See if
it's lagging bad, but
no.
Yeah, it's coming back up.
Gotta wait for the chat to catch up with us and see what they say.
Yeah, I can hear you. I just turned up the volume and I heard you say the stream got Clintoned. So we should be back.
There you go. All right.
Yeah, it's just pretty laggy. Like the video's lagging. It's as far as like the graphics on screen are moving slow.
Okay. Yeah. Hello, everyone, again. Live TV. That guy's cool.
Yeah. I have not.
No, I have not.
Nope. Doesn't. I admit I don't read much these days. If I do, if I do imbibe a book, it's usually like on tape. Like I like audio, man. I do.
When I heard 1632, obviously not the same thing, but there was a Marvel Comics series. I think it was called something like 16 something or other, and it imagined the Marvel universe if all the characters existed in the 1600s. and had different names and different roles. Like Doctor Strange was like the court magician kind of thing, and the Fantastic Four were like pirates or something. It was crazy, interesting stuff. But well, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Obviously, because we're talking to you, but I don't know if the stream can hear you. That's a different thing.
All right, so how about now? Let's see if apparently I've been muted all this time.
Oh no.
So, well, I think they should hear me now. Anyway, I got killed. Obviously, there was some sort of Clinton secret operation going on, so they killed my computer and everything went black. So we had to restart.
I can hear you now.
All right. So okay. So that's good. I have to go back then and just do the super chats again because I did that while I was muted apparently, which is awesome. CM Cross says just need some Racer Fist to upgrade the stream. We talked about that, but I was muted, and I said that Racer Fist is awesome, and he's always welcome. And Primarch Vulcan says, speaking of alternate history, have you read the 1632 book series by Eric Flint? And I had not.
Nope, neither have I.
Neither have I.
Yes.
But Scribe has to go.
Yeah. I got some things I got to get done. And as viewers of Lords of the Night and elsewise know, my job has me required to get up at 4 a.m, even if I am working from home now because times on the East Coast still apply. So Undoomed, I can't tell you how great it was and what a nice surprise it was to have you invite me on today. I didn't expect it and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was awesome. I've had a lot of fun. So let's do it again.
Nice talking to you too, Magog.
Yep, good seeing you again, buddy.
Yep, and everybody in chat, hope you all had a good holiday for those of you who are Americans, and even if you didn't, hope you had a good weekend. And I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, take care, man.
Yep, bye, everybody. Take care.
And as you know, I have to go as well here soon. So because I have plans tonight.
Yep. Do you have to take off now or?
Here in a few minutes, I can help you close out the stream if you'd like.
Yeah. Anything you want to talk about before we go, or you want to take off now?
Well, I got a text from my buddies, and they're about half an hour away, so that's about what I got. I promised my friends that they could come over and shoot off the leftover fireworks they had from like last night. Everybody had their own thing to do. I had my family over and we shot off fireworks and my buddies came over Friday night as well. We shot guns and then when it got dark we shot fireworks. But apparently quite a few of them still have leftovers because they bought like hundreds of dollars of worth of fireworks. So, and it's kind of like, those situations where like if you own a truck, suddenly everybody needs to like borrow your truck,
right,
to help them move like a couch.
Yeah.
Well, apparently that applies to owning land in the country.
Yeah, because now you got a shooting range.
Yeah, because now everybody I know wants to come over and shoot guns and fireworks and shit because you're allowed to do it. And you can't really store fireworks. I mean, you can if you store them in a dry place, but who wants to hang on to fireworks until like New Year's,
Right.
So they're all going to come over and finish off the fireworks they have left over from their barbecues and shit over the weekend. And I told them they could come over. So here in about half an hour, my buddies are going to be out there blowing shit up, and I should probably not be in here streaming.
Yeah.
While I have guests.
So, of course not.
And, any other day we'd probably keep going for a while, but I've got plans tonight, and it's been an exciting weekend. But now it's time to get back to work. I've got tons of stuff planned for this week. I got to get back to doing content. I know it's been a while. Had a family reunion, and then right after the family reunion, fucking holiday weekend, and
right.
I've only done like one video in the past 3 weeks, and I feel bad for that. I really do. My fans probably hate my guts, but I'm having a little creative trouble as well. It's hard for me to.
Right.
it's hard for me to find the funny these days, but I got to get back to it. And I've decided, I think this is what I'm going to do until the studio's finished. I'm going to be doing my taxes. Once I pay my taxes, whatever money's left over is going to go into finishing the studio, Magog's Magic Shop. So hopefully by the end of July, August, into August, I'll be done with the inside of the magic shop.
Mm-hmm.
And so for the next month, month and a half, here's what I'm going to do to kind of cut down on editing time so I can spend more time out there working on the shop and getting all the props together and building shelves and putting walls up and insulation and all that stuff. I'm going to go ahead and just get up every day and find some things to talk about and just live stream for 30 minutes every day in character on the main channel.
Right.
And just spend some time with my fans in character, talk about whatever I want to talk about just for 30 minutes. I don't want to make it too long because then people won't watch it.
Right.
So
What about
that's what I'm going to do.
what about is your side quest? You have it like a season break, or how does that work?
Yeah, we're on the mid-season break right now, trying to figure some stuff out. Some of my co-hosts, everybody was kind of burnt out. We did 40 fucking episodes, so we're giving some people some breaks. Side quest probably won't be back until the end of July. I'm working on some new overlays and some things like that, and we're gonna probably rearrange the co-hosts and what nights they appear and everything, because some people their work is their day jobs are kind of interfering with side quest, and it's getting too much.
Right.
So
right. Well, I mean, we've gotten this in the chat during this live stream, and I've told you this before, so I totally agree that you should leave like a slot in your overlays for a guest.
Yeah, I should do that. That way the guest can have like a special health bar or something.
Yeah, you don't have to put in a avatar for everyone. You could just put a fucking question mark in there or something, just so you can have guests on. Just to sort of that could sort of alleviate your pain of always having to get these herd cats together every time you want to do the show. You could you could have someone else show up sometimes.
Yeah, and I'll look into that. I thought maybe like a special health bar for guests, and the picture doesn't change or anything. Maybe I could just put like a funny picture in there, or they can send me their avatar and I can plug it in real quick.
Right,
be pretty easy.
Yeah,
be pretty easy. So yeah, I'll look into that. I'm gonna run it by my co-hosts, see what they think about it, and we're gonna play around with some new segments and stuff. So I love side quest. I love doing side quest, but it can get exhausting being in character for 2 hours, constantly improving, trying to be funny, trying to be entertaining, different segments. It can wear down on you, and that's why we needed a mid-season break. Take a nice break, let everybody breathe, take a little time off.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, and honestly, I just have no idea how YouTube's even going to go for the future of what I want to do, because I've heard all these things like people's channels being completely taken down. Mr. Dapperton was completely deleted. Atheism is Unstoppable was completely deleted.
I didn't know Dapperton was deleted, was he?
Yeah. Dapperton got fucking axed off of YouTube.
Oh, really? When was that?
Yeah. I saw him tweet about it. I don't know when. A couple days ago.
Huh.
A couple days ago, I see.
Yeah, I saw Atheism is Unstoppable. Got yeeted. I didn't see him. That's everyone's getting yeeted. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. He changed his name on Twitter to Captain Cancelled. And his pin tweet says, "Channel is gone. They were striking me off the platform again, and BS strikes anyway. And I was already demonetized, and I don't like the spotlight or harassment. So it is what it is. I don't care. I'll still exist on Twitter, Discord, BitChute, and Facebook for y'all though." So yeah, Dapperton's been canceled off of YouTube. And if they went after a guy like him, they're definitely going to come after a guy like me. We did a lot of similar types of videos, going after the SJW stuff and, things like that back in the day. So it seems like they're striking old videos. And if they look at any of my old content from like 2017, 2018, they're going to hit me too eventually.
Right.
So that's why right now, until my studio's done, I'm just going to live stream every day for like 30 minutes a day and just have some fun with my fans. It's going to be temporary. I'm not turning into a live stream channel. It's just until the studio's done. And then I can get to, once the magic shop is done, then I'm going to start concentrating on the content I want to do, which is skits, actual comedy skits a la Monty Python.
Right.
You know, very kind of like in the world of Magog, and it's not going to be like direct response videos because that's my true passion. Is
Well, they have canceled that guy from Monty Python, so
they're canceling everybody, aren't they?
Yeah. What's his name?
John Cleese.
Yes, exactly. So I mean, how long do you expect to live doing Monty Python stuff?
Well, that's why I think maybe once the magic shop is done, and I don't know, the chat can tell me if they think this is a good idea, but maybe once the magic shop is done and I start actually doing these like scripted skits, get my friends to come out in costume and be different characters along with Magog, maybe I should just put it up on BitChute and just concentrate on building my audience over at BitChute.
Right.
You know, I mean, I should probably still put stuff on YouTube as long as they'll allow me to.
Yeah.
But I am not confident that YouTube is going to allow me to do what I want to do forever. I feel like YouTube is dying for my brand of content. They're not going to let me.
Yeah, I never expected to be here where we are right now. It seemed when this whole thing started, like there was this immutable thing called free speech that no one would argue with. But that turned real quickly. Holy shit. Right?
Yeah, they're just like purging people. It's like they want to be like, I don't know, like a pay-for streaming service.
Yeah, it's like back then we were kind of snickering at China, but here we are. We're no better. We are China. You have to watch what you say constantly. Like, holy shit, this is no way to live.
Yeah, and I understand part of it. Like there is this need to try to reel in the really bad content, you know, the fucking terrorist videos and the, you know, really violent shit and pedophiles on YouTube and stuff like that. I get that.
Right, but we already have a code of conduct. It's called the law. Right.
Yeah, but they're overcorrecting, aren't they? Now they're going after people who say bad words.
Right. That's why I say that. We have the law. That's our code of conduct. If it's illegal, yeet it. But if it's fucking someone saying a bad word, Jesus Christ, that's China.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and it's not even bad words that you and I like socially would accept that, even though it's you have the right to say it, you shouldn't. Like the N-word, right? Like Magog has never used the N-word on any of my videos.
Right.
Maybe I use in a live stream, I might have said it as like a joke, but I've never done it in any of my edited videos.
Right.
I agree that that's like a word that I shouldn't use as a fucking white wizard dude. Plus, it doesn't make sense for Magog to use it anyway. He lives in a different world. But anyway, yeah, there's that. But at the same time, YouTube is fucking yeeting people for saying fuck.
Right.
You know, like you can't even use like obscenities anymore. You know.
Right. And I agree that it is. The N-word is a word with a lot of baggage that we probably shouldn't use because a lot of people get pissed off in a bad way. So I would agree with that. But even if someone used it, that doesn't mean they should be banned.
Right.
That would sort of, it would maybe be a good thing for them to have a backlash, but you know they should. It's like everyone's just getting banned. Like life is the only sentence. Like when someone kills someone, you get life. You know what I mean?
Right.
Can we have some other punishment for minor infractions like saying the wrong word?
You're talking about meritocracy, and that doesn't exist on YouTube apparently.
Yeah.
like I mean, there's no way back from there's no road to redemption either, right?
Mm.
Like once you break the moral code of the current social structure and cultural wokeness, you're fucking done. It's like a life sentence for saying something wrong or doing something wrong. And
Yeah.
I still like doing response videos. Don't get me wrong. I'll still do them from time to time when something is truly needs to be talked about, in my opinion, and joked about.
Hmm.
But I really just I kind of want to do fun stuff. Like I just want to be funny. I just want to do comedy. And yes, it'll still be offensive. Yes, it will still probably have some little inside fucking political, you could still kind of get some of the political stuff out of it because that's always going to be an inspiration of my comedy. But I want to do it in such a way that it's more Monty Python, where it's actually in the world of Magog. And the reason I want to do that is because YouTube is cracking down. I
Right.
can't do just direct responses anymore. They will fucking flag you down. I had one of my AOC videos completely deleted off of my channel
Right.
because for bullying and harassment. Who the
And
fuck was I bullying and harassing?
yeah, I think that is sick. But obviously, that is a clear indication that they have an enormous bias, like they've said in those candid videos where they were shot without being known, but without them knowing they were being shot. Where they're like, yeah, if it's a Trump video, I'll just fucking delete the whole account. Right? You've seen those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
And because you can't respond to a politician and it being considered harassment. They're politicians. We have to talk about our fucking politicians. Sometimes that gets rough, right?
Perfect example. Samantha Bee, who does that stupid fucking show of hers. It's like some sort of late night thing. Samantha Bee, what's it called again? Undressed or something? I don't fucking know.
Hmm.
But Samantha Bee called Trump's daughter a feckless cunt.
Yeah.
That is still all over YouTube. But my video calling AOC old donkey chompers gets fucking completely deleted off of my page.
Yeah.
And Trump's daughter's not even a politician. She is a public figure, but she's not even a politician. I was at least making fun of a politician, and I sure shit didn't call her a cunt. Yeah, I called her old donkey chompers because it's funny, but that's not as bad as feckless cunt. And yet Samantha Bee can say feckless cunt to Trump's daughter, and that's fine. But
Yeah.
I can't call AOC a dumbass or I get deleted. It's pissing me off.
Yeah. I mean, and that works out perfectly when you look at those videos, how they're thinking. They're just like, yeah, we're just going to win the election. We're going to delete anyone who's opposed to us. And, they have no semblance of being objective. They don't they don't even pretend.
Nope. They don't. And now they're going after like Project Veritas and Ben Shapiro. And I don't even watch those guys really. I mean, I catch clips on Twitter or whatever, but it's not like
Sure.
I'm subscribed to Ben Shapiro.
Sure.
But what world do we live in that Ben Shapiro doesn't have a right to say what he wants to say?
Yeah, I've never heard him say anything that offensive.
And he's like an Orthodox
okay, yeah, exactly. And even I want to sort of walk that back and say that it doesn't matter if he said anything offensive. That's still free speech, as long as he didn't threaten to kill someone, or wanted to kill children or whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. There's a perfect example of how YouTube thinks is the new monetization things that they make us do when you upload a video. Have you
Right.
seen this shit? Well,
Of
obviously
course.
you have, because you've uploaded a video where they ask you, is there any language in this video? Is there any like violence towards any specific person or group? Is there blah blah blah? And you have to answer these like fucking questions, and if you answer wrong, they demonetize you. But what's weird is they still check.
Right.
So
If you answer right, they still demonetize you. So
yeah,
what's the point?
they still check the video. You have to wait for monetization to be active
Yeah.
while the algorithm checks your video anyway. So what's the point of answering all those questions? They're trying to get you to fucking help yourself. In my opinion, that's what they're trying to fucking do.
Yeah, they're trying. It's like, yeah, exactly, like behavioral modification.
Yeah. And it's really one of those things that's like, it's kind of like those surveys the feminists used to do where it's all like, um, do you believe men are violent? Yes or yes. There's
Yeah.
like no, there's no like no answer, right?
Yeah,
It's
right,
like,
right. Do you think men are violent, or do you think men are evil?
yeah, it's like it's so fucking blatant now. Like they're not even trying to hide it. It's like CNN. They're not even trying to hide the fact that they fucking lie. You got a super chat there by from X Hammer.
Yep. Thank you very much, Xhammer X13 Thor. Magog, use YouTube as a springboard to bolster other platforms before the possible yeet deletion. Carry on and don't go quietly into that cold night.
I don't plan to. Like I said, I'll stay on YouTube for as long as they'll let me. But I am probably going to. I'm probably going to start promoting my BitChute more, and when I do the actual comedy show, once the studio's done,
I just
I'll probably
cannot believe that this is what it's come to, where
Yeah.
we're all expecting to be deleted.
Yeah, it's like we're just waiting for the time our time on the chopping block.
Yeah.
Right. We're waiting for our time at the guillotine.
We thought this was the greatest country of freedom ever, and we just let China take over everything.
Yep.
This is why we have vapid superhero movies that just pander to China right now.
Oh yeah.
And we have Google pandering to China, making sure that everything is working in China, blah, blah, blah. YouTube is pandering to China. Everything is and if it's not pandering, they're still developing technology to work in China that they bring back here, and like, well, that worked pretty well in China, didn't it?
Yep. I didn't like the idea of moving platforms because YouTube is still like the biggest video platform. But they
Of course.
they're kowtowing to all of the fucking, like, on one hand they'll come out Black Lives Matter and we support gays, LBGT, yay, it's June, it's Pride Month. We support you, but on the back end they're doing the shady fucking censorship shit that the fucking Chinese government does, and like Korea. And it's like, I can't even fucking get behind this anymore. And I hate the idea of trying to make it on a smaller platform that isn't as established yet. Like, one of the reasons I haven't moved permanently to BitChute yet, as much as I like the platform, it could use some work, but I like the platform and they're good people over there. But they don't have a streaming yet.
Yes, there is that.
And that's what's really kind of
It really splits the whole thing if you have to have a separate streaming platform and a separate video platform.
Right.
That totally splits everything down the middle. It's not good.
Yeah, and I swear, if they ever get to a point where they have enough people and enough funding or whatever to build a streaming service on BitChute, I probably would make a more permanent move. Because I don't think YouTube has got a future, at least not with my brand of content at all.
I'm just so old school that I still can't believe that this is what it's come to.
Yeah, tell me about it. I thought this was America.
Yeah,
I thought this was America.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's sad.
Yeah, it is, that's one of the reasons why I've been having trouble creatively too. It's just I can't find the funny in any of it. I get on Twitter and it's just statues being torn down and protests turning into riots and violence and arson. There's been multiple murders of both black people, white people. It doesn't even seem coherent anymore. All of it just makes me angry. I don't feel funny. Yeah. I feel angry. I feel
Yeah.
angry and disappointed that this is my country. And this is what we've turned into, and that there's an entire generation of people out there that think America is evil, that America's horrible, and they live here. They
Yeah.
fucking live here. They don't want to move. They want to tear it all down.
Yeah. Yeah. That is incredibly depressive.
Yep. You got a super chat there, buddy.
Yep. Attack Helicopter. That's a nice name. Says, so we Germans are heroes for inventing penicillin. I don't know. Did you? Wasn't that Fleming?
It's European either way, right?
Well, it's European, but I thought Fleming invented penicillin.
I don't remember who invented it or discovered it, really. It's more of a discovery, isn't it?
No, but there was a guy, and I'm pretty sure that was Fleming. But someone will correct me if I'm wrong. But
yeah, by all means. I don't know who invented it. But yeah, I mean, either way, it's European.
Yeah, but they didn't have the European Union back then. They had Nazi Germany and England.
Yeah. I think it was before that. I think when was penicillin fucking invented?
Yeah, are you going to Google it or should I?
Yeah, I'm doing it. Penicillin. It was originally from common molds known as penicillin molds.
Mm-hmm.
Which history, medical uses, side effects. There's the history of it. There it is. In late 19th century, there was many accounts of scientists, physicians on the antibacterial properties of different types of molds, but they were unable to discern what the process was causing the effect. Alexander Fleming, Scottish scientist, in 1928,
there we go,
was the first to observe the effects of penicillin mold. Fleming encountered that the date of his discovery of penicillin was on the morning of Friday, 28th September 1928. So 1928, yeah, that was like, World War One, not World War II yet, but yeah, it was a Scottish guy.
yeah. I remember it was a British thing, and I remember the name Fleming because he's got the same last name as the Bond writer.
Yeah, but by 1943, they were mass producing it.
Yeah.
So that was it helped cure gonorrhea.
Yeah, it was a huge help in World War II.
Yeah.
I mean,
people were like, "Oh my god, I can fuck whores without dying."
Well, there was that, but they also could, get shot and not die. Because obviously, if you got shot before that, you're probably going to die from some sort of infection. But when you had, and of course back then there were no resistant bacteria, so I mean they could kill anything with penicillin. Now it's like we got all these what are they called? Those resistant fuckers that penicillin won't do shit against, but that didn't exist back then.
Yeah, there's been a bunch of super bacterial infections since then, but it was still a remarkable discovery.
Oh yeah, it was probably the discovery of the century.
Right. And I mean, if you're going to get an STD, gonorrhea or what's the other one? Chlamydia are the best ones to get because they're cured with an antibiotic. Pretty easy. You take a pill and it's gone in like 4 hours. So that's nice. I mean, like I said, if you're going to get one, hope it's one of those two.
I guess that's kind of a weird thing to think about, but all right.
I'm just saying, it's definitely better than getting.
You walked yourself into that one.
Yeah. I'm just saying, if you're gonna get one, hope it's one of those two. Is all I'm saying. We still need to figure out the whole herpes and fucking HIV thing. We're getting there though. HIV's people can live good long lives now with HIV. Thank God. Because that's been a devastating fucking
Sure,
disease,
but we can't
you know.
cure it yet.
Not cure it, but it's manageable with all the cocktails that you can at least live a good full life now.
Right.
We can even stop it from, going into full blown AIDS mode.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is a good thing. We need to. Don't get me wrong. I'd love an actual cure, but at least we're getting fucking close.
Right.
So,
Right.
you got that last super chat there, and then I'm gonna have to go.
Right. We got super chat from Vosh Lancet. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. BitChute was denied funding over them saying they wouldn't censor someone's speech. They do have a way for people to donate to the cause, though, and they have a beta for streams. All right. Well, I haven't seen that beta. That would be that'd be interesting. I hope they're working on that, but I've heard that rumor for such a long time, though. But I think it's crazy that they would lose funding for not wanting to delete free speech.
Yeah, no shit.
That is such an upside down world for me. It always will be.
Yeah, I mean, mostly right now, BitChute is just a place where, like, when I upload on YouTube, it automatically ports my videos to BitChute.
Right.
So I'm still active on BitChute because I'm constantly having videos pop up over there because they were on YouTube. But I think maybe I need to maybe they have a help us grow page where you can donate, get a membership. They have a subscribe star. They have Bitcoin, Ethereum coin, Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin. You can use.
Yeah.
I don't think they have PayPal. I don't know if they do or not, but they're at $20,000 of 30,000, so they're 10,000 away from meeting their goal for the I don't know for how long a month.
Right.
Yeah, monthly. They want a monthly target of 30,000. So there's a way to support them.
That's not much though. I mean, they're running a cheap operation. I can just imagine how much it costs to host all these videos. Well, they're not actually hosting them, but still administrating them. And then if they're going to add live streaming on top of that, that is going to add a serious amount of processing power.
Yeah. I don't know how they're going to do it yet, but they definitely need to grow more. But they're definitely the most successful alternative to YouTube. So far. I mean, there's a lot of people over there. Suit Yourself is over there. Styx is over there. A lot of people.
Well, I'm over there as well.
Yeah.
It's just obviously it's a small platform, and I'm not over there all the time.
Right. But I'm not seeing any kind of. I mean, I got notifications. I'm not seeing any kind of option for a stream. So maybe they're just testing it with certain people.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything either, so I guess that's really beta.
Right. So I hope they do, though. I hope they eventually get to a point where they can stream, because I'd love to move SideQuest over there too and do a show. Like I actually like BitChute's setup. I like that they have different tags for different things, kind of a rating system. You can do some not safe for work stuff. So if I don't have to like censor certain things. Like if I do a funny video that happens to have boobs in it, I don't have to worry about fucking blurring that shit out.
Right. Right.
Like I like that. Not that I'm doing a lot of videos with nudity. I'm just saying I like the options. I like that I can say what I want. I like that I can do the jokes I want to do. All that stuff's good.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's the way it used to be on YouTube. There was never any fear of saying the wrong thing before.
Not until the past few years. It started about 2016.
No, it started later, like 2018 maybe.
Well, I joined in 2017. That's when
Right.
I started, January 2017. So a lot of the SJW stuff was going on, and there was a lot of people policing language, but YouTube wasn't doing it necessarily
No,
yet.
no.
But a few months after I joined, the adpocalypse happened. The first
Right.
adpocalypse, I think,
That's
with
probably,
PewDiePie.
yeah, that's probably when it started.
Right, and that's about when it started going downhill.
Yeah, yeah.
Was the adpocalypse with PewDiePie being called a Nazi because some fucking journalist decided, hey, let's fucking crucify this guy who's way more popular than us.
What's even the point of being the most powerful company on earth if you're just gonna capitulate to some journalist?
I know. It's like, what a bunch of pussies.
Yeah.
A bunch of fucking pussies.
You can't even respect that.
But they're like, community guidelines are all about freedom of speech, opportunity to succeed. People have the power. BitChute is not about. I clicked on their community guidelines page. BitChute is not about oppression or incitement, platform bias, mob rule, censorship, illegal content, or exploiting creators.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty good little, I guess you could call it internet bill of rights to start with. That's a really good that's a really good foundation to start with, is those things right there. We're not going to do the whole platform bias and mob rule bullshit.
Right, right.
That's a good foundation right there. You are responsible for your own actions on the platform. Creators are responsible for setting the correct sensitivity of their content. You have a responsibility to ensure compliance with these principles at all times. That's good.
Right.
Basically, they're saying we're just a platform. We host, so you can't sue us. Like, we're just hosting.
Hmm.
That's fine. Yeah, you don't have to. Obviously, child abuse will not be tolerated. Terrorist material will not be tolerated. Credible threats or incitement to violence, sexual explicit content will not be
That's what I've been
tolerated.
saying all along. We got the law. The law is our code of conduct.
Right.
Those things are illegal. There's not even a question about it.
Right. And when the only one under that is under the respect and decency tab is the sexually explicit content will not be tolerated. What they mean by that is pornography.
Mm-hmm.
Like actual porn videos, like showing penetration and fucking cum shots and shit.
Right.
Like, you're allowed to have a little nudity. I did a video where I responded to porn stars talking about their boobs and they were topless. I had to censor it for YouTube, but BitChute, it's uncensored. And it got way more views than any of my other videos on BitChute.
Right.
But as long as I had the not safe for work tag on it, it was okay. So you have to understand, like, they're not like against everything. They just don't want
Right.
BitChute to turn into
Well,
Pornhub.
I can understand that because there is Pornhub. So
Right.
they can say, okay, let's just put the porn on Pornhub. Fine. It's something that is completely logical.
Yeah, it says right here, BitChute is not intended to be a delivery platform for sexually explicit content.
Right.
Any such content should be reported. If this describes your video, even if a video of yourself, do not post it on BitChute. Some content containing nudity is permitted, as long as it does not portray sexual acts and if it is marked as not safe for work using the sensitivity controls.
Right.
So yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Like, you don't want your site to be Pornhub, that's fine.
Right. Yeah, because that obviously I understand that, because once you allow that, it will turn into Pornhub in 5 minutes.
Exactly.
There's going to be fucking furries jacking off and, all sorts of fucking shit.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, I love BitChute. They need to get, before I make a permanent move there, they need to get a few more little things that I personally need for my content, i.e., streaming. Streaming would be nice. Yeah.
Mm.
So, but anyway, I think that's enough on that for now. I'm gonna have to go. My buddies are waiting on me.
Mm-hmm.
They just pulled up. I heard them and they texted me. They're outside. So
all right,
go.
All right, man. It's been great having you as always.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for inviting me on today. And always good to see everybody in the chat come out to watch Undoomed, and you guys take it easy. We'll see you on the next one.
All right. So thank you very much for showing up, everyone. Thank you for your donations, and thanks for watching. I will see you next time.